Sam opened his eyes due to a strange sound coming from his head. The voice welcomed the guy to the game and said that it would start in 59 seconds. Our hero tried to understand what happened to him and what game we are talking about. The next moment, a zombie appeared right in front of him. Sam was frightened and instantly retreated from the monster. He didn't understand where in his world something like that could come from. When the guy looked around, he saw that he was surrounded by dozens of zombies. Suddenly the voice came again. He said that there were 50 seconds left before the game started, and that the main goal in this world was survival. Sam tried to remember the events of yesterday. In the evening, the electricity went out throughout the city, and he went to bed early, and now he was just dreaming of another horror movie. He thought if this was a dream, then he had nothing to worry about. He just needed to wake up. After that, he hit himself in the hope of being home in his bed, but his hopes vanished into oblivion. The situation did not change, and the hero felt severe pain from the blow. The next moment, the guy began to run away from the zombies surrounding him in a direction unknown to him. Sam had already covered an impressive distance in search of temporary shelter, but the entire hunger was filled with monsters. It seemed that there was not a single place where they were not there. When the guy ran into an underground passage to take a break, the system reported that there were boxes scattered all over the world in which he could find the necessary equipment and materials. Sam asked if the system had any better advice on how to avoid death here, and was told that he should use the cathedral skill wisely to collect useful resources from monsters. After which our hero learned that as night falls, zombies become more aggressive. Now their current level decreases, but the suppression subsides every 30 days. The next moment, Sam began to think about where he could get a weapon or something that could protect him. He only had 10 seconds left before the start. Suddenly, he noticed a zombie with a protective shield. The hero decided not to miss this opportunity and hurried to take the shield before the monster could attack. In a matter of moments, the guy achieved his desired goal. Sam took the shield and grenade that could be useful to him and then rushed as far as possible from this monster. But our hero didn't have time. He was attacked by a zombie, from whom he took the shield. At that moment, the guy realized that his time was up and the game had begun. All the monsters simultaneously rushed at Sam, who was hiding behind the shield, creating a false sense of short-term protection. The guy held on with all his might when he realized that he needed to fight. Otherwise, he simply would not survive here. The next second, he threw away the shield with the zombie leaning on it. He then quickly rose from the ground, pulled the chica out of the grenade, and threw it towards the monsters pursuing him. When he ran out to the next street, he saw a man surrounded by zombies. He asked for help, but Sam could not help him. Our hero was determined to find a safe place where he could hide. Suddenly, he noticed an abandoned restaurant building and hurried there. When Sam approached him, he received a notification that 27 zombies were waiting for him in the restaurant, and if the guy broke in, he would provide them with a hearty lunch. The next moment, he noticed two guys about to go inside. The hero couldn't understand whether they didn't see the system's prompts or whether they thought they could cope with so many zombies. He wanted to warn these madmen, but he didn't have time. They had already entered. After that, a system window appeared in front of him, informing him that there were no monsters nearby, but there was one box with materials. He immediately rushed in the direction that the system told him. A few minutes later, he was already there. Next to him, he found a box, opening which he received water, an injection pistol capable of increasing physical strength, and an axe. Sam was pleased with the things he received. Now he had a weapon to fight monsters that would increase his chances of survival. The hero immediately used a pistol, injecting himself in the arm. The next moment, severe pain pierced his body, and he could not hold back his screams. The system window that appeared stated that the chance of successfully increasing the strength was only 30%. If this failed, the hero would simply be torn to pieces. Sam bit his arm to keep his screams from attracting the monster's attention, and moments later, he lost consciousness. Not much time passed before our hero opened his eyes again. He was surprised that he was still alive and no longer in pain. Suddenly, a cry for help was heard from outside. The girl tried her best to escape the crowd of zombies chasing her. Sam took an axe and came out of his hiding place. The system told him that there were monsters on the second floor, but the stranger's screams distracted them, so the guy had the opportunity to kill them by sneaking up from behind. The hero decided to use this opportunity to test his new abilities. The guy dealt with his opponents quite deftly, cutting down one after another. The girl no longer hoped for salvation, but suddenly she heard the sounds of cutting flesh. A couple of moments later, a guy appeared from the window opening in the place of the monsters, who advised her not to scream if she did not want to attract even more zombies. Anna decided not to hesitate and followed her savior, but when she saw the corpses of the monsters, she could not hold back her frightened screams, thereby angering Sam. The girl's screams did not go unnoticed. A crowd of zombies headed towards the room from which they could be heard. Our hero extended his hand to the girl, telling her to quickly grab it. They still have the opportunity to escape. While the girl was wondering whether to trust her savior, the system notified Sam that he had received a reward for the zombies he had defeated. The next moment, monsters burst into their shelter. The guy decided that while he tried to convince the stranger, he would only waste time, so he took the shield and rushed in the opposite direction, where there was a narrow corridor. The system said that there are no zombies there, but there is a peak, and on the left there is a VIP elevator leading to the 3rd floor, where there are no zombies. Sam turned towards the elevator. Suddenly, a monster jumped out in front of him, which he immediately attacked. With incredible speed, he chopped down all the zombies that came his way. A few moments later, he finally saw the elevator. When the guy approached him, he realized that to activate it he needed a key card, which he did not have. Sam's attention was drawn to a noise coming from around the corner. The next moment, a zombie of impressive size came out to him. He was twice the size of the others. For a brief moment, the guy was overcome by fear of such a strong opponent. But the next second, he noticed a bunch of keys, among which was a key card. He realized that he had to achieve this by any means necessary. After this, overcoming his fear, Sam rushes at the monster. The hero hoped to hack him to death in the same way as his other relatives, but the axe got stuck in the enemy's bone. The zombie threw the guy away from him and was about to hit him, but Sam managed to react and put a shield in front of him. To our hero's great misfortune, his defense was knocked out of his hands by the enemy's 3rd blow. At that moment, another monster attacked Sam in a different direction. The hero managed to react and grab the zombie's head with all his might, intending to tear it out. The guy's attempt was successful. The zombie's body fell limply to the floor, and its head remained in Sam's hands. But the hero was not allowed to relax. The old enemy reminded him of himself. Reacting quickly, the guy threw the monster's head at his enemy with all his might, thereby distracting him. He then took out a fire extinguisher and sprayed it on the zombie, blocking his view. The next moment, he hit the zombie with an axe, tearing the keys from his belt. Sam was glad he succeeded and ran as fast as he could towards the elevator. Once at his place, the guy began to actively press the buttons of his bodice in order to arrive as quickly as possible. The hero felt that if he failed to get to the 3rd floor, he would no longer be able to cope with the zombies that would appear here in just a few moments. Sam suddenly began to feel nauseous and weak, and realized that the injection had side effects that were starting to occur. But this time, the hero failed to relax. A new enemy appeared before the guy. The next moment, Sam noticed that the monster had a gun. He was glad of this fact. He needed to take this weapon away at all costs because in the last battle he lost the axe. But when his brothers appeared behind this zombie, the guy's resolve weakened. He managed to repel the attack of one of them with the help of a shield, which was very conveniently located to the left of Sam. As soon as the elevator doors opened, the guy ran inside, thinking that tomorrow he would figure everything out. The zombies wanted to follow their prey, but the doors closed faster than any of them could get inside. Once he was on the 3rd floor, he went in search of a room that could serve as his refuge. A few minutes later, he found a living room with a bed and everything he needed. The guy immediately rushed to the refrigerator, hoping to find water there. The next moment, he drank a whole bottle of water, after which he noticed that his condition had improved and he felt his strength begin to return. Sam guessed that water helps the injected medicine be absorbed into the blood faster. The guy was glad that there was enough water in the refrigerator, so that with the help of it and the injections, he would become much stronger. Sunset was approaching, and the zombies became more and more aggressive, leaving no chance for their victims. At this time, Sam was calmly recuperating in his shelter. Some survivors, like our hero, used the system's hints to become stronger. Others formed groups to increase their chances of survival. Ivan, the leader of a group of survivors, studied the system message. He thought that he needed to find a way to bring more players together, and with a joint effort, clear this world of monsters. As night fell, Sam decided to examine his inventory, which contained prizes for defeating zombies. Studying the contents, the hero noticed that by killing monsters, you can get energy crystals, and corpses can be processed into fertilizer. Suddenly he noticed in the very corner the keys to a car that could be found in the parking lot. The next moment, the chat feature was activated, where players could exchange messages in a general chat. Sam saw a message from Ivan, who wrote that he had created a camp where they would receive help and share food. If someone wants to join, they must report their location. The hero was surprised when they started exchanging resources in the chat using the trading space in the system. Sam watched as Ivan traded all the food for crystals that could be used to increase strength. The hero believed that in the early stages, it was more important to stock up on food than crystals, so he sold all his knives for food. He was delighted with his acquisition when he saw that someone had offered a map of the city for exchange. It could be of great benefit to him. The guy pressed the exchange button. The next moment he saw the image of a girl in front of him. When Sam said that he needed the things he was offering and asked for a price, the girl said she needed food and drinking water. He was surprised by such a low price, because with the help of a map, you can determine the places where you can find supplies and food. After thinking, he said that he would give him a bottle of water and open the canned food. He thought that the girl would refuse, but to his surprise, she agreed without hesitation. After that, he posted what he called on the trading platform. The next moment, the girl had food and thanked him. Sam said they were new and should help each other. He thought that if they became friends, next time he will feed her better. Sam decided to ask where the girl found the card, but at that moment the image disappeared. In the morning, the hero armed himself with an axe and a shield and went to the second floor. As soon as the elevator door opened, he rushed forward ready to fight, but there was no one in the corridor. He didn't understand what was happening. Suddenly he noticed a bloody stain. He examined the floor, trying to figure out the origin of the stain. If it had come from a zombie bite, there would have been blood splattering everywhere. The next moment he realized that someone was hunting for the players. It wasn't hard for Sam to figure out that the killer had taken the gun and that it might still be out there somewhere. The hero decided to go to the parking lot and find a suitable car. As soon as the guy left, George climbed back into the room through the window. He noted that the guy who left was quite fast and had a good physique. He will likely have helpful resources. Thanks to the revolver he had obtained, he was confident in his abilities. He just had to wait for the guy to return and, using the effect of surprise, make the first move. Meanwhile, Sam reached the parking lot. He pressed the key button to locate exactly where his car was. At the same moment, the car made a characteristic sound, after which its headlights came on. The monsters came running at the loud sound, but Sam wasn't the least bit afraid. He was confident in his abilities. In the next second, he easily chopped down one zombie after another. Not even a minute had passed before all the attacking monsters were defeated. After that, the guy headed to the car. Opening it, he was pleasantly surprised. He found a pistol and supplies in the driver's seat. Sam hurried to collect them and move them to his inventory. After that, he intended to return back to his room, but he was tormented by suspicions that the killer could be sitting somewhere in ambush near the elevator. After some time, our hero was already on the second floor. He decided to use bait to reconnoiter the situation, so he threw an empty can into the corridor, hiding around the corner. George, hiding behind the slightly open door, was alerted by a noise in the corridor. Sam was also in no hurry to leave his shelter. The system reported that danger awaited him in the room opposite him. The guy expected something like this, so he was not surprised when he received a warning. After waiting a few moments, George looked out from behind the door to somehow reconnoiter the situation, but saw only an empty jar. No one else was found. Our hero decided that until his opponent declared himself, he would not take the first step. Suddenly, a woman's cry was heard asking for help. Sam was surprised that the girl he saved yesterday was still alive. When the scream was repeated, the guy realized that besides the girl, there was someone else on the street. The hero decided to come out of his hiding place. He was ready to fire his weapon at any moment. When he left, everything was quiet in the corridor, and it seemed that his opponent had slipped away. At the same time, the girl tied to the tree cried and asked for help. She begged the men standing at a distance to let her go before it was too late. One of them replied that they saved her, and now she must repay them for their help. They wanted the girl to attract as many monsters as possible with her screams. And while they were busy with their prey, The men planned to sneak up on them from behind. The fat guy said that he saw one guy kill 8 zombies with an axe without any effort, so they must have been lucky since the bodies of these monsters are so fragile. The next moment, all the zombies simultaneously attacked the girl, intending to eat her alive. The men considered this the most convenient moment and came out of their hiding place. Steve attacked the monster with a meat cleaver. Contrary to his expectations, the knife did not cut the enemy, but only stuck in the head. After an unsuccessful attack attempt, the men rushed away from the crowd of monsters, which immediately rushed after them. Steve looked around at the crowd of monsters, trying to find a way to break away from them. Only one option came to his mind: to sacrifice a friend. He pushed him towards the zombies, asking for forgiveness and saying that Steve had no other choice. The man, who fell into the hands of zombies, vowed that he himself would become a monster and would definitely come for his former friend so that he would experience the same torment. All this time, Sam was hiding behind the bushes, watching everything that was happening from a safe distance for him. Suddenly, Steve headed in the direction where our hero's hideout was located. The guy was seriously worried. He wouldn't want to fight such a horde of monsters alone. The next moment, the man tripped and fell before reaching the bushes. Sam looked out from his hiding place, rejoicing at the man's misfortune. Steve didn't have to wait long for swift retribution for his sins. The monsters immediately surrounded him, tearing out pieces of his flesh. Suddenly, one of the zombies was distracted from his prey. He turned his head towards the bushes where Sam was hiding. Our hero realized that he had been noticed. He decided not to use a gun, which could attract more zombies, and instead used an axe. At this time, the monster, having noticed the guy, was already ready to attack its new prey. The next second, Sam jumped out of cover ready to attack. He easily cut down the zombies attacking him. After a few minutes, all the monsters were destroyed. Sam looked at the dead Steve. Suddenly, the system warned that danger was approaching him from behind. The hero managed to dodge the sudden attack, and George landed next to him. He praised the guy for his good reaction. Sam was surprised that his opponent decided to reveal himself so quickly. George said he was sorry the boy was too young, but today he would have to die. The hero asked why the man thought Sam would die today. George replied that no one had ever left him alive, and the boy would not be an exception either. After these words, the man attacked our hero. Sam had difficulty dodging the attacks and was amazed at his opponent's speed. Having identified an opportune moment, the hero prepared to counterattack. But his attack did not go unnoticed, and George dodged with ease. This time, Sam was unable to dodge the attack and was thrown back several meters. The guy realized that his opponent had much more combat experience and handled weapons at a high level. He urgently needed to come up with something. While the hero was thinking about his plan, George approached the enemy and said that his game had come to an end. When the man approached quickly enough, Sam pounced on him. George was surprised that the guy was able to move after the attack. The next moment, the hero knocked the enemy to the ground, asking why he was hunting players. George ignored the question and punched the guy in the back to free himself from the grip. But the blow did not have much effect. Sam asked why George did not take out the gun. The man listened to the boy's dying wish. The next second, he summoned a revolver from his inventory. Sam was glad that his provocation worked. He bit George hard on the arm, after which he bounced away from the enemy. The hero immediately took out a rifle from his inventory. The man was amused by this situation and pointed the gun at the guy. But the next moment, George himself felt the barrel of a rifle in his forehead. He suggested discussing everything peacefully. Meanwhile, a squad of survivors were also fighting zombies in their territory. But suddenly, Ivan heard gunshots and said that it was time for them to return, before the noise from the gunshots attracted even more monsters. Sam ignored George's request and shot him in the head without hesitation. The sound of the shot attracted zombies, who quickly approached the hero. But the battle with Georgie took too much of his strength, and he received serious damage, which is why he could no longer move. Suddenly, a notification came from the system that Anna was inviting him to chat. The next moment, an image of a girl appeared. She looked worried and asked what was happening to him. Sam thought about what to say. Without waiting for an answer, the girl said that there was a crowd of zombies behind him, he should get up and hide in a safe place, and that she had been given an injection of adrenaline. When Anna said that she had sent him an injection and some other medicines, he tried to call these things from his inventory. But everything happened too slowly. It seemed to the hero that the monsters would get to him before he could get to the medicine. After a couple of seconds, which continued agonizingly slowly, he had a shot in his hand. He immediately injected himself with adrenaline, hoping it would take effect before the zombies got to him. Immediately after this, a timer appeared for 3 minutes, after which the injection would begin to take effect. After the set time had passed, Sam immediately began destroying one monster after another. The system told him that the adrenaline's effects would last 10 minutes. When the guy turned to the entrance to the building, he saw dozens of zombies heading towards him. Sam thought there were too many of them and he might not be able to handle them all in the time he had. A moment later, they surrounded him on all sides, cutting off his escape route. The hero did not understand where so many zombies came from. Distracted, he did not notice how they came too close to him. He wanted to kill the monsters with the gun he took from George, but the weapon turned out to be missing cartridges. Sam dodged the monster's attack at the last moment. Unable to maintain his balance, he fell to the floor. Suddenly he noticed something that could help him. He noticed the parking barriers behind the zombies surrounding him. He immediately had a plan of action. The hero quickly broke through, tearing through the zombies. When there was no one left ahead, he ran towards the fence. The next moment, he tore one of them out of the floor. Turning back, a crowd of zombies stood in front of Sam again. But this time he was confident that he would cope with everyone using the weapons he had obtained. At this time, the 2 surviving men from the upper floors of the building watched what was happening below. They were amazed that one person fought against dozens of monsters. Suddenly, an unusually large monster appeared in front of Sam. The system notified the guy that behind the zombies, there is a road leading to the riverbank, and there is also a wire mesh there that can hold corpses. Many watched the broadcast in which Sam bravely fought zombies. Everyone was amazed at his strength. Meanwhile, our hero began to lose strength. He realized that he could not defeat everyone, so with the last of his strength, he headed towards the saving mesh fence. Once on it, he was safe. Suddenly, a sharp pain pierced his body, indicating that the adrenaline had run out. The next moment, Sam fell. Once on the ground, he desperately tried to think of a way out of the situation. A moment later, the system reported that the upgrade could prolong the effect of the injection. At the moment, the hero has enough resources to upgrade. Sam then pressed the button to perform the update. Within seconds, he felt every cell in his body filled with strength, and the side effects of the injection went away. The hero decided to try his improved skills. Having hit a stone of impressive size, it shattered into small pieces. The guy was pleasantly surprised by how much his strength increased. Suddenly, the system announced that there were 10 days left before the start of the second phase. The weakening of zombies and other mutated creatures would be removed. Sometime later, Anna actively consumed the food she received from Sam in gratitude for the medicine. The guy was sincerely grateful to the girl. If it weren't for her, he would already be dead. The next moment, the hero asked why she was hiding under the table. If she fell into a trap, then he would come and save her. The girl did not expect such a question. Noticing the changed expression on the interlocutor's face, who was about to end their conversation, Sam hastened to explain that he did not mean anything bad and assured him of the safety of his shelter. But Anna thanked him for his kindness and supplies and hung up. The guy did not understand what caused such a reaction from his interlocutor. Anna would be glad to leave here, but she alone understood that she represented a real danger in this world. Suddenly, there was a noise outside the window that caught her attention. The girl listened, trying to understand what was happening. A second later, someone's huge paw appeared on her window. This sight seriously frightened Anna. Meanwhile, Sam was walking around the area behind the fence. Suddenly, he noticed meat potato sprouts, which could become a good resource in the future. At night, he returned to the 3rd floor to his hideout. When the guy went inside, what he saw amazed him. The glass was broken, and all the food and water cupboards were emptied. After a moment, he realized that someone was there. The hero kept his rifle ready in case the system suddenly alerted him of danger. Suddenly, a knock was heard behind the wall. Sam immediately turned around, aimed the rifle at the door and said to get out. After that, the door was opened by a little girl with a hammer in her hands. The guy was surprised how the little girl got here. He asked if she had emptied the food cupboards. The girl replied that she didn't do it, didn't break the window or empty his supplies, but Sam didn't believe a word she said. The next moment, she hit him on the leg with a hammer. She then slapped him in the face. Due to the effect of surprise, the hero was unable to react correctly, lost his balance and fell to the floor. After that, the girl ran away, thanking the guy for the spatial ring. He was furious when he realized that the girl had stolen something so important to him. Sam didn't understand why the system didn't notify him of this girl's threat. He stood up and decided to return the ring at any cost. Suddenly, Lisa appeared in front of the hero again, asking if he had a gun. The guy became wary when she asked if she was now going to take the weapon away from him. The next moment, she slammed the door, asking Sam to turn off the light because the zombie was already close. After that, the system reported that the guy needed to be careful with the windows. As soon as the hero read this message, a monster burst through the window. Sam reacted quickly and grabbed him by the neck. At the same moment, Lisa hit the monster on the head with a hammer. The hero decided not to miss the opportunity provided by the girl. The next second, he shot through the head of this monster. But not even a minute had passed before the previously killed enemy stood up again. Our heroes were amazed by this sight. Sam ran out of bullets and asked Lisa to return the ring with them to him. The next moment, the guy was attacked, but he managed to dodge and again repeated his request. Lisa realized that leaving the ring in such a situation was stupid and threw it to the guy. Sam caught him, and he immediately summoned cartridges from his inventory. He then shot the monster's right arm, but he quickly recovered and moved to the ceiling. The hero concluded that the mutated monster has intelligence, judging by the way he dodges bullets. Interrupting the guy's thoughts, the monster rushed at the girl. Sam managed to save Lisa from death at the last second. Immediately after this, he ordered the girl to leave here as quickly as possible, but she said that she would not leave. The guy had a lot of resources and strength. He could protect her from monsters. The hero didn't like Lisa's last phrase. If she did not leave, he intended to kill her himself. Suddenly, she noticed that the monster had scratched him. The girl could not hide her joy. She said that in a couple of hours, the guy himself would turn into a zombie. But if he gave her all his resources, she would save him from torment. After the girl's words, Sam said that before his death, he was obliged to complete one important task, heading in her direction. Lisa asked what he was up to, looking at the approaching guy. The hero declared that he intended to take her with him. Lisa got scared and ran away, saying that she would return when he turned into a zombie. Sam was glad that he managed to get rid of the intruder, and now he had to think about what to do with the wound. The next morning, Lisa returned and was very upset when she found neither supplies nor the guy who had turned into a monster. Meanwhile, our hero found a new shelter thanks to the map he received. The system reported that there are no zombies here, and this is a great place to settle. After some time, our hero entered one of the buildings, examining it. Suddenly, a growl was heard somewhere behind. Having determined where the sound was coming from, the guy decided to check what it could be. Looking under the table, he saw a small animal that was the cub of the Wolf King and was S-ranked. Sam was incredibly happy about this luck. The guy decided to tame the animal by giving it a piece of meat. The wolf cub stopped growling and slowly crawled out of his hiding place, sniffing a piece of meat. A moment later, our hero watched with excitement as the animal devoured the meat. The system reported that the wolf cub now has 1 point of favor towards the guy. When the favor reaches 100, he will become forever attached to his master. Sam was surprised when he learned that the animal was equal in strength to a very strong man with a weapon in his hands. After some time, the hero handed the last piece of meat that he had to the beast. The wolf cub looked at this piece with love, and meanwhile the system notified that the last point remained before the final taming of the beast. And when Snowball finished off the last piece of meat, he finally became a tamed animal. Sam then stood up, intending to give the pet some water. Opening the tap, he noticed that the water became much dirtier. A little later, our hero went outside, intending to plant the seeds he had previously obtained. The guy realized that at the second stage, there would be a great shortage of water, and he needed to find a source of clean water. Our hero ordered Snowball to guard the house, and he himself went in search. Meanwhile, in the city, a couple of young people successfully dealt with a couple of zombies. Suddenly, someone pierced the girl with an arrow from a bow in the neck. Her partner suffered the same fate. The man was angry with the guy because she killed the girl, although only the guy needed to be killed. Ignoring her partner, the woman prepared to go downstairs to retrieve the resources of the couple she had killed. But the man stopped her. Sam walked close to where the murder had just been committed. The system warned the guy to watch the windows on the 3rd floor of the building. The woman set her sights on the guy, but her partner warned her to be careful. He felt that the guy was not so simple. Meanwhile, Sam did not take his eyes off the window. He planned to climb to the 3rd floor in 20 seconds. Then the attackers would not have time to react to his attack. Suddenly, his path was blocked, tearing the hero away from his thoughts. The man who led the gang of robbers told the guy to give them his resources, then they would not touch him. Sam refused their generous offer. After that, a guy with an axe jumped out from behind him. Not missing an opportunity, Emma fired her bow. The hero managed to stop the arrow flying towards him as soon as it touched his clothes, but he was unable to dodge the attack from behind. The robbers were pleased that the boy was so easy to defeat, after which one of them shouted to his partners on the third floor to come down. A moment later, the couple descended to their companions. Michael noticed that their victim had regained consciousness and hurried to warn the others, but the man was too late. Sam killed one of them. The hero was glad that the whole gang had gathered in one place, so it would be easier to deal with them. Blinded by rage, the man hastened to avenge his brother, but at that very second, death overtook him. Suddenly, the system warned the guy about the grenade. He didn't have time to react when there was an explosion. Those who managed to survive tried to escape as far as possible from this place. Sam managed to climb into the window of the building, escaping the fire. Emma asked her partner why they were running away if they had a bunch of explosives. He replied that, judging by the boy's speed, he must have the appropriate strength. Michael then turned around to check if there was a tail behind them. All this time, Sam was chasing a couple moving on the roof. Suddenly, the robbers stopped, frozen by what they saw. A crowd of giant zombies was moving towards them. A moment later, Sam appeared behind the man. Michael said that it was stupid of them to attack him, so they would give him half of their resources if he allowed them to leave. The hero said he agreed 80%. The man said that was too much. After that, Sam said that in this case they would wait for the monsters together. The next moment, the giant zombie let out a terrible scream. Mikhail immediately changed his mind. He agreed to 80%, but first the guy had to give up the sword, and then he gave him his ring for safekeeping. Sam immediately dropped the weapon. Michael was glad that the guy was caught. He told Emma that they would wait until the zombie came closer. He would throw a grenade, and she would grab the sword. The hero was amused by this situation. The monsters came very close. Michael tried to find his grenade. Suddenly, his partner pushed the man towards the monsters. He didn't understand why she did this to him. Emma replied that since the man loved her, he should stop the monsters for her sake. After that, she threw explosives at the monsters. Looking at this, Sam thought that everyone was torn apart by this explosion. A couple of minutes later, when the fire died down, he saw a huge zombie eating Michael. Next to him, the guy noticed a spatial ring and his sword. The monster noticed the hero, turning its head in his direction. The next second, he rushed at his new victim. The system ordered the guy to immediately move away from the giant and kill Emma. Sam decided not to risk it, and listening to the advice of the system, hurried to escape from here. Meanwhile, Ivan and his team came to the place where Emma shot the guy and girl. Suddenly, one of the team members reported that he had found another body further away. Hearing this, Ivan thought that these corpses were bait for zombies, and they were all ambushed. He ordered everyone to gather in a defensive position. A moment later, everyone saw someone chasing the girl. They didn't even have time to react when the girl was shot. When Sam came out of the shadows, one of the survivors' union members told no one to move, so as not to provoke the guy. The hero did not pay attention to this company. His goal was to take all of Emma's equipment. Observing this, Ivan ordered Sasha to take all the rings from the corpses and give them to this man. If he decides to attack, then she must take everyone away from here. The next moment, the leader of the group, turning to the guy, said that they were just passing by and asked not to kill them. After these words, the girl came forward and placed the collected rings in front of Sam. He watched the girl's every move. Sasha got scared when the guy came up and took the rings. The next moment, the hero stated that he did not kill these people, and since they discovered these rings, it means they belong to them. After that, he gave the rings to Sasha. Ivan asked what his name was. As he left, the guy said they could call him Sam. After some time, the guy returned to the scene of the explosion, looked around but did not find either a sword or a ring. Meanwhile, Lisa examined her new sword, rejoicing at the discovery. A few hours later, our hero returned to his shelter. He accelerated the growth of the planted seedlings with the help of fertilizers. Half an hour later, he reached his goal. A sprout appeared from the seed. After 3 days, he will need to repeat the same procedure, and after that he will be able to harvest the first harvest. He was interrupted from his thoughts by Snowball, who brought clean water. Sam noticed that the purifier he found did its job well, and if he could somehow improve it, he wouldn't have to worry about drinking water. The hero praised his pet, saying that after the watering hole they would go hunting for zombies. Sam used Emma's bow quite extensively. This allowed him to kill his enemies one by one without risking his health. Snowball did not lag behind his master. Suddenly, he noticed a monster running away from him and went after it. Our hero saw that his pet was chasing prey and shouted to him not to run too far. Snowball was absorbed in the chase and did not notice the attack from above. He chewed up one of the attacking monsters and the other sat on his back. He couldn't get rid of the unwanted rider. Sam came to his aid, killing the monsters flying towards the wolf, after which he took aim at the person sitting on the beast. He could not afford to miss. The next moment, the arrow reached its target. But this monster attacked the guy with lightning speed, jumping off the beast. But our hero was ready for this and immediately demanded a cutting knife, after which he cut the monster into pieces. Snowball was again surrounded by these creatures. Sam shouted to the beast to turn his back on him. The wolf immediately complied with his master's request. The next moment, the monster was pierced by an arrow. After the guy went downstairs, it seemed to him that something was wrong here. A few seconds later, the hero and his pet rushed away from this place. But the monsters surrounded them, cutting off all escape routes. It seemed to the guy that their number was abnormal and that something was about to happen. Meanwhile, Ivan and his team took everything they could find from the supermarket. Suddenly, the guys guarding the entrance noticed the appearance of monsters previously unknown to them. Their number increased every second. The guys ran inside the store and warned the others about the approaching enemies. Sasha could not understand the reason for the sudden appearance of so many monsters. The next moment, these creatures began to cling to the windows and doors of the building. The men began pulling heavy objects to block the door. At this time, Sam attacked his enemies, and it seemed to never end. Ivan's team watched our heroes fight through the glass of the store. Sasha immediately recognized him as the guy they met a few hours ago. Lisa woke up with a high fever. She could not understand the reason for her discomfort, but the next moment, a system window appeared, in which it was reported that the girl had raised her level to awakened. After Sam dealt with the monsters, Ivan said that they were finishing the operation for today and returning to the shelter. The main character himself could not understand why monsters were chasing him for the 6th street in a row. Suddenly all the creatures stopped. The guy couldn't understand what happened. The next moment, a system window appeared, informing that there were players in this world who had been illegally awakened, so the 2nd stage would begin earlier, a minute before the start. Then a warning appeared that after the start of the 2nd stage, the crawlers would evolve and would pose a great danger. They must be eliminated right now. Ivan and his comrades decided to use the moment given to them to find shelter. Our hero was also heading to his shelter, but a crowd of zombies blocked his way. He asked the system if there was a safe path. After receiving the answer, he learned that if he walked through the alley, he could turn left, and there would be a heavy truck on which he could escape. The guy ran with all his might through the crowd of monsters. There were 8 seconds left before the start. As he turned the corner, he saw a parked truck that could ensure his rescue. But the next moment, he noticed a monster on the car, making it impossible to get inside. He instantly comes up with another idea, to hide under the truck. As soon as he climbed into his temporary shelter, time ran out, which meant the beginning of the 2nd phase. The next moment, the monster attacked him, and the guy had to fight the mutant. Sam noted that the crawler had not only become larger in size, but its speed had also increased significantly. The monster rushed at its victim again. The hero miraculously managed to evade the attack in the air. Landing on the ground, Sam tried to come up with a plan. He understood that he couldn't escape the crawler, but the guy couldn't stand a fight with him either. A second later, the monster again flew towards our hero. The guy rushed into the car with lightning speed. The monster was almost upon its victim when the guy opened the driver's side door. For Sam, seconds counted. Suddenly he found a bazooka on the seat. He was glad that luck had not deserted him and picked up the machine gun. The next moment, the charge flew at the monster. The force of the explosion was enough to tear him apart. Meanwhile, Ivan's group was surrounded by an impenetrable crowd of monsters. Each of the squad of survivors fought off the monsters, sparing no effort. Suddenly, a huge zombie 30 meters tall appeared in front of them. Some did not believe their eyes. Some realized that they had lost even the slightest chance of salvation. Ivan could not allow the death of his comrades. He ordered everyone not to panic, but to pull themselves together and protect each other. After his leader's words, Paul said that something was luring this big guy. After thinking for a moment, he said that he had a way for most of them to get out of here. They would have to sacrifice someone. Ivan was shocked by this proposal. He immediately told Paul to shut up and not come up with such crazy ideas. But the guy objected. In this world, the strong devour the weak, and if they do not make sacrifices, then everyone will die. After which he examined Ivan and said that he was completely unsuitable for the role of their leader. Sasha intervened in their argument, saying that the zombies were getting closer and closer and they needed some kind of plan. The next moment, Ivan ordered everyone to run to the sewer hatch. But at that very second, the hatch cover opened and steam began to flow. After that, a creeper crawled out of space. Seeing the approaching monster, everyone began to panic. Paul said that they should not have listened to him. Now they will not be able to escape, even with the help of bait. The guy's words were drowned out by the noise of the truck that appeared. Meanwhile, Sam was happy that he could kill monsters just by driving a car. Suddenly, the system informed him that he could increase his level. After pressing the confirmation button, the hero was transferred to the first stage of early awakening. The squad of survivors rejoiced at the approach of the truck. They had hope of salvation. Sam took the machine gun, aiming at the zombie. A moment later, the charge reached its target. Ivan watched the explosion, amazed at the power of this weapon. He then ordered everyone to get into the truck. Meanwhile, Lisa managed to blend in with the zombie crowd thanks to her abilities. Suddenly, a bark caught her attention. The white puppy barked incessantly at the crowd of approaching zombies. Once Sam got the squad of survivors to safety, he left. Pavel asked Ivan why he didn't send someone after him to find out where he lived. For the guy, this proposal sounded akin to the ravings of a madman. Is there any point in sending reconnaissance for a player with such a level of power? If he wanted, he could kill them twice already. Sasha looked after the departing truck and thought that during the period until they saw each other, Sam had become much stronger. When our hero returned to the territory of his refuge, Snowball was already waiting for him. The guy knelt down to pet his pet and inspect it for damage. Suddenly, Lisa came out from the veranda, hearing a noise outside. Sam learned from the she-wolf that she saved him and helped him heal his wounds. The next moment, the system warned him that there was danger behind him. Lisa attacked the guy from behind, raising her sword above his head. The hero can easily dodge such a slow blow. When the girl landed on the ground, he immediately took his sword from her. Noticing changes in Lisa, he asked what was wrong with her face. She replied that this was her special ability. At the same moment, the guy attacked her to test the girl's reaction speed and other abilities. She dodged every one of Sam's blows. When she had enough of this, she activated another ability that put the enemy into a deep sleep. The hero immediately covered his nose and mouth so as not to inhale dangerous clouds of smoke. He saw that Lisa was serious and asked her to stop. He was just testing her. The guy noted that this is already the third person who has woken up, including himself. Although she does not have any special combat skills, she has become noticeably stronger. It is better to stay away from her. He thanked her for saving Snowball and said that now they were even, because that time the girl took his food. Lisa did not want to leave here and said that she had many books on different skills, 30 fragments of rings that would cover the cost of food. Sam even listened to the girl. He wanted to get the annoying girl out of his territory as quickly as possible, but suddenly she said that she knew where the arsenal with supplies was. He demanded that she tell him where the armory was located. Lisa replied that if he didn't kick her out in a week, she would show her the place. The hero had no choice but to agree to these conditions. He told Snowball to constantly monitor the girl and report immediately if anything happened. Hearing these words, Lisa turned around and wanted to go back into the house, but Sam stopped her, asking about the skill books she mentioned earlier. The girl decided to play dumb by saying that she couldn't mention any books, and it must have been his imagination. The guy immediately saw through her, saying that he had enough of his own ammunition and the girl could go in all 4 directions. Hearing this, she said that she was just joking, and she had both books and drawings. She would gladly give them all away. The next moment, system windows appeared in front of the guy, notifying him of the acquired skills. He subsequently received a fragment of the ring. Having received everything promised, he said that later he would give the girl fertilizer, and she and Snowball would be in charge of the garden. After explanations, he said that he would go on vacation and let her get acquainted with everything and find something to do. While sitting in the kitchen, Sam learned that with enough pieces of fabric, he could create level 1 protective clothing. Suddenly, a new system window appeared, informing him that he was the first legally awakened player in this world, so he would be rewarded with 2 skill upgrades. After our hero pressed the button to accept the upgrades, his strength and speed increased by 50%, and his body was surrounded by pure energy, which increased his damage and defense against attacks. Sam thought that with a protective field and a sword, he would no longer have problems in close combat with giants. Meanwhile, a squad of survivors barricaded all the windows and doors through which the monsters could enter. Ivan warned his comrades to inspect the room for zombies. Suddenly, one of them said that if he boarded up all the entrances, the monsters would not get in, but they wouldn't be able to get out either. He was depressed by the realization that their refuge had become their own grave. Sasha tried to calm the guy down, reminding him that they had repeatedly gotten out of difficult situations. After her words, the guy began to turn into a monster, saying that they always got out because someone saved them every time. Ivan was struck with horror by the realization that their comrade had been bitten and was now a threat. Sasha stood and could not move, watching the changes in her partner. The girl was saved by Paul, who killed the man without hesitation. She stood there and didn't believe what was happening. The next moment, Paul ordered all the wounded to come out. He would grant them eternal rest. He was joined by a couple more people who shared the views of his comrade. Everyone in that room was afraid of Paul. One boy was trembling with fear. He did not dare admit that he had been bitten. But after a moment, he took a few steps forward under the surprised glances of his comrades. Having done this, he looked ghostly at Paul. The man was pleased that the boy went out on his own, thanks to which he would save time for everyone. He then pointed his sword at him, intending to kill him, but Ivan tried to stop Pavel, asking him not to commit such an immoral act. Seeing that his words had no effect, he took his sword and rushed forward to stop what was happening. Paul evaded his commander's attack and attacked the boy again. A moment later, he was killed. The man advised Ivan not to be so soft-hearted, otherwise he would not live long in this world. Sasha and the squad leader looked at the corpse in horror, realizing that they could do nothing to save him. Tears accumulated in the girl's eyes. Seeing the boy working hard and helping others, she couldn't help but become attached to him. A moment later, she was full of rage and wanted to kill Paul. But the man reminded the girl that it was he who saved her, and she owed him her life. Seeing that these words had no effect on the girl, Ivan stopped her. He told her to put away the bow. They shouldn't have internal conflicts when they could be attacked by walking corpses at any moment. Sasha could not object to this statement and put away the weapon. Paul smiled as he watched the girl step over herself as she listened to the leader's words. He could not miss this opportunity, and the next moment he rushed at Sasha, saying that whoever wants to kill him must die. Ivan managed to react to the sudden attack and threw explosive powder at Pavel. The man did not expect that anyone would dare to disturb him. He didn't have time to dodge, and the explosive attack hit him, causing him to fall to the floor, losing his weapon. A minute later, he struggled to his feet, clutching a serious wound on his stomach. He said that Ivan is weak if he uses such dirty tricks to deal with him. The leader only silently listened to Paul's tirade that he would destroy them all because of his softness. A few moments later, the man fell to his knee from a sharp attack of pain. He said that they stuck together all this time, but he was the one who feared death the most. Today he will honor Ivan and give him his life. Paul asked the leader to kill him. He still had little left. Ivan looked at the dying man, struggling with his emotions. After that, he told the two guys to start treating his comrade. The men rushed to Pavel to transport him to a more suitable place for treatment. Ivan ordered that no one in the future even remember what happened today. He was full of anger. Having given the order, he asked Sasha how many days they would have enough supplies for, and found out that only for a couple of days. Hearing the girl's answer, he said that tomorrow morning, when the zombies had dispersed, he would go for supplies. Sasha was surprised to hear such a dangerous idea from her supervisor. She barely held back her tears when Ivan said that if he didn't return, she would remain in charge. A few days later, the seeds Sam planted bore their first fruit. Fluffy and Lisa enjoyed collecting edible fruits. The girl was already dreaming about how they would cook them. But our hero called her, telling Lisa to think not only about food, she needs to collect seeds and plant them on time. Suddenly, she suggested drying the fruits using her abilities, because in this form, it would be difficult for them to store so many potatoes. Sam immediately rejected the idea, saying it would turn them into zombies. Lisa didn't understand why the guy started to get angry. She just wanted to try. While the girl continued her monologue, a system window appeared in front of the hero, informing him that fruits and vegetables caught in the corpse fog are not filled with poison, but retain their appearance and taste. After that, he said that the girl could try her idea. She immediately activated the ability, and the fog, enveloping the seedlings, spread along the ground. A few moments later, Lisa remembered the fog. Sam, who had been watching her all this time, noted that she had excellent abilities. The next time she encounters monsters, she will need to test her skills. After this, the guy decided to try to collect the fruits and move them to his inventory. He was surprised when the system did not issue any warnings about the danger. After that, I moved the potato stems. Having collected enough material, he began to create bows and arrows. A moment later, the weapon he had created lay in front of him. He advised Lisa to try to exchange it, giving preference to gasoline and then food, water, and crystals. When the girl asked why there were so few arrows for a bow, the guy replied that if they sold bows, people would constantly turn to them for arrows. But here, they could set any price. Lisa understood his cunning idea and said that she would sell everything. Suddenly, Sam received a notification that Anna was putting her items up for sale. He decides to call the girl to find out how she is doing. The next moment, the image of Anna appears. She asks why the guy is calling her. Sam noticed something was wrong with her and asked what was happening to her. Suddenly, a huge foot breaks through the wall of the girl's refuge. Anna said that it still got to her, after which she said with tears in her eyes that she was glad to meet them. Anna hoped that the hero would be able to survive in this ruthless world. Sam asked the girl to tell him where she was so he could come to her aid. Lisa, who was watching this, said that the room looked like the warehouse she was in last time. Hearing the girl's words, the guy grabbed her bike. He demanded that Lisa immediately tell him where the warehouse was located. She activated the map and pointed to the point where the building he needed was located. Having found out everything necessary, Sam said that they would immediately go there. Sometime later, they were driving a truck to save Anna. Looking out the window, Lisa noticed that there were much fewer zombies than a couple of days ago. Suddenly she saw a man fighting the crawlers alone. Ivan fought tirelessly against the monsters around him. The crawlers were very agile and evaded most of his attacks. Therefore, the guy decided to go into close combat, cutting off the head of one of the monsters. Sam took the opportunity to find out the man's level. The hero received information that he had recently increased his level and was stronger than Sam. They drove on without stopping to help Ivan. Suddenly, our hero ordered the girl to buckle up. After his words, the zombies flew towards their truck. Those inside were shaking as the truck drove over the corpses it had crushed. A few moments later, the girl received a notification from the system that she had received crystals for killing monsters. She was pleased that by following Sam, she could get a lot of goodies. The next second, a giant zombie came out. Lisa warned the guy about this, advising him to be careful. After her words, the truck pierced the mutant's leg, continuing on its way. The girl, frightened at that moment, felt her heart returning to its usual rhythm. Sam explained that this is an enhanced version of the machine and a couple of similar monsters will not do anything to him. Suddenly, another monster landed on the windshield. The guy started driving the car from side to side, hoping to throw him off the car. As a result, the hero's idea was a success, and the monster rolled off the car. But another enemy was flying at them from above. Sam told Lisa to take the wheel and he would deal with the monster. After that, he opened the door, releasing Snowball, who was supposed to belay him from behind. He jumped into the truck himself. When he was at the top, he was surrounded by 3 crawlers. Sam yelled at Lisa not to stop and to drive more smoothly. He then activated a defense that covered his entire body in the form of an aura. The next moment, one of the monsters attacked him, but the guy managed to hold back the attack. The second monster decided to take advantage of this opportunity and attacked the guy from behind. Sam noticed him in time and dodged. The next step he took was to hack his attacker to death. Suddenly, the hero felt a sharp pain in his shoulder. He did not notice how the monster approached him from behind and bit him. The guy deftly dodged and cut off his hand. 2 opponents stood in front of him. The hero came to the conclusion that their strategic thinking was weaker than that of people. He then attacked one of them, but he quickly changed his trajectory, killing the one who was about to make the jump. The remaining crawler decided not to risk his life and ran away. Sam was glad that the monsters were over for a while. He was dead tired. The next moment, The system reported that the recovery ability had been activated, healing the guy's shoulder. Before the hero had time to truly relax, a new enemy appeared. He instantly knocked the guy to the floor, intending to eat his prey. Snowball noticed the attacker, and increasing in size, hurried to the aid of his master. He threw the monster off the guy who was hovering over him and preventing him from escaping. The next moment, Sam pierced the crawler with his sword. The hero praised the wolf for coming on time. Meanwhile, Lisa shouted to the guy to come back quickly and take control of the car. 50 meters away, a large group of giant zombies had gathered. The girl screamed with tears in her eyes that she couldn't slow down and they would crash into the monsters. When the zombies began to stop the truck, Sam hurried to the girl. The next moment, the guy was already hanging by the open door and asking the girl to give him the driver's seat. He managed to take control of the situation and push away zombie that slowed them down. But now they were racing straight towards the bridge barrier, risking death in an accident. Sam turned the steering wheel sharply, steering them away from the dangerous route. Turning around, they again drove into the zombie blocking their path. This time, the monster didn't just slow them down, it started attacking the truck. Lisa said that any more and their car could explode. Suddenly, a system window appeared, informing that there were 40 seconds left before the explosion. After this, the monster caught fire, and after a few seconds, their path was clear. Sam hoped to make it to the warehouse within the allotted time. 30 seconds later, the hero ordered to jump on the count of 3. At his command, the girl and Snowball jumped out of the burning truck. When they were at a safe distance, the car exploded. A few moments later, our heroes stood up as Sam prepared to enter the warehouse. As soon as they moved towards him, a system window appeared, informing him that there was a giant lizard in the building, the strength of which was comparable to the second stage of awakening. The hero had an unpleasant feeling inside, but before they had time to take a step, the lizard crawled out to meet our heroes. The monster rushed at Lisa, but Sam managed to react and pushed the girl away, exposing himself to be hit instead. A moment later, she watched in horror as the huge mouth slammed shut with the guy inside. Snowball increased in size and was about to attack the lizard. Lisa screamed with tears in her eyes for him not to do this. Suddenly, Sam bursts out of the monster's mouth with an explosion. The hero managed to avoid death thanks to his shield and machine gun. Having freed himself, the guy decides to finish off his enemy by shooting him in the head. But the expected result did not follow. The lizard immediately regenerated. Sam replaced the machine gun with a sword. Realizing that the bullets were useless, he immediately rushed at the monster. But he defended himself with his long tongue, causing damage to the guy. The hero was surprised by the speed of the lizard. When he landed safely, it felt like he had several broken ribs. The system window that appeared suggested that the lizard's weak point was its eyes and spine. The next moment, he told Lisa to attack the monster's eyes. A few moments later, a corpse-like haze shrouded his eyes. Taking advantage of this, Sam attacked the enemy. He plunged his sword into the lizard's back. Feeling severe pain, the monster roared, stunning our hero. The guy stuck the sword deeper and deeper, hoping that the monster would die as quickly as possible. Suddenly, he stopped making a heart-rending scream and froze for a few seconds. He then fell to the ground dead. Only after this did our hero let go of the sword. Sam couldn't believe it was finally over. After Sam defeated the huge lizard, he and Lisa went deep into the dilapidated building in search of Anya. The hero was worried that they might not make it in time, and the girl might already be dead. Suddenly, Lisa stopped at one of the destroyed walls and called Sam. When he approached her through a hole in the wall, he managed to notice familiar details of the room in which Anya was when they communicated via video. A few meters away, they found a blocked door leading inside. When the passage was cleared, Lisa noticed a girl lying unconscious. When she went to check Anya's condition, she realized that the girl was infected. Sam said that he could cure her, after which his attention was intercepted by the sudden appearance of a system window. From it, he learned that behind the door in the far corner of the wall, there was a lot of ammunition and weapons. Sam immediately headed there. Going inside, he saw a car and many boxes. He couldn't even think that he would be able to find such a useful place. The hero, without wasting time, moved all the useful ammunition into his spatial ring. He was almost finished when strange loud noises were heard. Lisa, who was using her abilities to try to stop the spread of the infection, was also distracted by sounds of unknown origin. Sam ran out, guns drawn, saying that he would sort everything out and that his girlfriend should continue treatment. At the end of the corridor, he immediately noticed a golden chest. He was alarmed by the fact that the system did not give any clues about it. Approaching him, the guy realized that the chest was closed. Suddenly, a huge hand appeared from the well, which was located behind the chest. A few seconds later, the blood-red eyes of the monster looked at the guy. Sam shouted at Lisa to hide as quickly as possible. The girl instantly ran towards his voice to find out what happened. As soon as she entered, a huge monster appeared in front of her. The hero tried to cope with it with the help of a weapon. Noticing the girl, he told her to take Anna and hide. When the guy returned his attention to the enemy, he saw that the attacks made practically did not cause much damage. The next moment, the hero was attacked, but he managed to avoid the blow. The system reported that his opponent was an attacking zombie mutant of the 3rd level, who has special speed and power of blows, and can also use supersonic technology. To Sam's surprise, the monster was suddenly enveloped in green steam. Lisa said that while she holds him back, the hero has the opportunity to attack him. He did not neglect the service rendered, and the next moment he raised his sword over the monster. The weapon bounced off the massive body when the guy hit him in the neck, which surprised Sam a little because he hit with all his might. The zombie turned its head towards the hero, a red beam emanating from its mouth. This time, Sam failed to dodge, and he fell to the floor under a stream of hot air. At that moment, Lisa approached them in a car and shouted at him to get to her as quickly as possible. As soon as the attack stopped, the guy immediately jumped onto the truck, picking up Snowball along the way. When the monster was about to strike the moving target again, Sam was already going down into the car hatch, closing it tightly behind him. Once inside, he took over control, avoiding the destructive attack. The enraged zombie could only watch as his prey slipped away. The hero decided to escape using a huge hole in the floor, going down to the lower floors. Sam couldn't understand why the system didn't give any clues about the danger. A few seconds later, they landed without any harm. Immediately after this, many system windows began to appear in front of the guy, the contents of which horrified him. They found themselves in a nest containing many eggs from which monsters emerged. Sometime later, Lisa asked if she should pour out all the gasoline. She felt sorry for wasting it like this. After spending so many resources to buy gasoline, Sam replied that if they didn't burn this place to the ground, there would be nothing left of the city. A sudden rumble from above caught his attention. The mutated zombie was able to get inside. The hero ordered Lisa to get back into the truck and be ready. In the blink of an eye, finding herself in the car, the girl promised herself that for the first and last time, she would risk her life for this guy. Meanwhile, Sam, who remained with the monster, avoided its attacks while simultaneously giving orders to Lisa in which direction she should go. The next moment, he threw a stone at the zombie, distracting it. Then he took out his weapon, hoping that his idea would succeed. He sprayed the remaining gasoline and started the fire using a machine gun. Just at that moment, Lisa managed to pick up the guy. Once in the car, he felt his heart pounding. It was quite a risky plan. They managed to break away from the monster, which was engulfed in flames. Sam received a message that 11% of the nest's area had been destroyed. He was surprised. The guy could not even imagine how huge this nest could be. Suddenly his attention was caught by something up ahead. It turned out to be a new 2nd-level monster that could spit extremely dangerous poison. Noticing a moving object, the zombie immediately attacked it. Sam was alarmed that his saliva was corroding the truck. If it got on them, then they weren't residents. The next moment, 2 more appeared, attacking the car. The windshield began to rapidly corrode. The hero took over control, saying that the girl might not be able to cope in such a situation. He understood that a little more, and their truck could no longer stand it. They urgently needed to take shelter somewhere. Suddenly, he noticed a door through which he intended to leave this place. Sometime later, they finally got out. Feeling safe after their experience, they vowed never to go to such places again, hugging each other. A crowd of zombies appeared to prevent them from enjoying such a touching moment. Sam was surprised that they managed to get here so quickly. He decided to take a roundabout route so as not to lead them into the city. After that, he drove in the opposite direction from the city, leading the mutants behind him. The hero and Lisa heard something land on the roof of the truck. He told the girl to take control while he dealt with the monsters. But the girl did not have time to do this when the slider appeared from the side of the window, which had previously been corroded by acid. Sam managed to get rid of it before anything could happen. At the same moment, Anya, who was lying calmly, began to scream in pain. Lisa reported that poison had begun to leave the girl's body. She needed to continue treatment so that Anya did not turn into a zombie. The hero replied that she could leave the zombies to him and do the treatment. After his words, Lisa moved back and Sam took her place. Taking out 2 machine guns, he intended to destroy most of his pursuers. He easily managed to eliminate the zombies one by one from a safe distance. A few moments later, he fired several missiles. The shells reached their target without hindrance. The guy enjoyed how easily he was able to get rid of his opponents. One of the mutated zombies was able to break through. Sam shouted for Lisa to hurry up with the treatment, after which he changed his weapon to a more powerful one. The explosions had a larger radius, thanks to which the huge zombie was slowed down. The hero hoped that after this, all the remaining undead should be destroyed. An hour later, taking a detour, they arrived in the city. Meanwhile, the team of survivors, who had made another sortie, was about to return to the shelter. Ivan discussed with Sasha the problem with the supplies found earlier. The girl reported that some were refusing to follow orders and share the food they had obtained. The guy decided that the best option would be to let them go for now and give them some freedom. Suddenly, a truck rushed in front of them, forcing everyone to pay attention to it. Not everyone dares to drive around the city in such a model. Ivan immediately realized who the driver of this car was. When the hero arrived home, it had long since become dark outside. He immediately carried Anna to the soft bed. The exhausted Lisa and Snowball followed him, barely dragging their feet. The girl collapsed on the floor, not reaching the nearest chair, glad that she could finally relax. Turning to her, Sam thanked her for her help. Without her participation, he would not have been able to get out alive. Lisa was very surprised by the words she heard. The next moment, she hugged the guy, not holding back tears of joy at finally being recognized. He stroked her hair, saying that they were a family now. After a hard day, she needed a good rest. Sometime later, he sat in the living room and looked through his inventory. For the first time, he saw the second-level chest, which he received for destroying the nest. By clicking on it, he received many useful items, including a talent crystal and armor that reduced damage by 20%. The hero immediately used this crystal, after which a selection window appeared, allowing him to select an ability to enhance. After a few moments of thought, he made his choice, after which the system congratulated the guy on mastering 2 abilities. He felt hot and cold at the same time. A few seconds later, the sensation passed, but something appeared on his hand that caught Sam's attention. On the guy's wrist was a sign of ice and fire, confirming the mastery of a new ability. He did not move to another room and fell asleep on the living room sofa. At one point, he smelled the delicious smell of food. Not even a minute had passed before Sam finally woke up, not understanding where such a wonderful smell was coming from. He was met by the girls. Anna, who had woken up, was holding a plate of breakfast in her hands. She approached the guy, saying that now her life belongs to him because he saved her. Sam, surprised by this statement, said that he simply repaid her debt for the medicine. Lisa, who was watching from the side, was quite annoyed by their cooing. She approached them, telling them that they should hurry up and sit down at the table before their breakfast got cold. When the hero turned his attention to the contents of the plate, he saw baked potatoes, which surprised him because he thought it was the smell of meat. Anna said that she used to be fond of cooking, and if he liked it, she would cook for the guy every day. Suddenly, Lisa pointed towards the window and excitedly announced that giant zombies were moving this way. Sam's heart skipped a beat, and he looked in horror in the indicated direction, not believing that their cover had been revealed. While Anna and the hero were trying to detect an imaginary threat outside the window, Lisa stole a piece of potato from the plate, glad that her little trick worked. When the guy realized that he had been blatantly deceived, he called on his sword. Turning around, he cut Lisa's fork, saying that it was a very bad joke. The girl was upset that she missed the opportunity to be the first to eat such a wonderful dish. Anna was amused by the way the two fought over the potatoes and promised to cook more. A few hours later, they were all planting new potato seedlings together. When they finished work, Anna said that she would like to continue living such a quiet life. Sam replied that it was possible because he had enough forces to guard this place. She approached the guy, telling him that she had a couple of skill books and a bunker journal left, which she was going to give to him. After which, through the system, she gave him the mentioned books, and several skills were immediately mastered by the hero. What he found most useful was the skill of basic maintenance of buildings and their strengthening. After mastering the skills, He decided to study the contents of the diary. From it, he learned that in 2012 a virus appeared, as a result of which all those infected turned into zombies. 3 months later, the undead no longer posed such a threat as mutated insects and plants. Ordinary human weapons became powerless against some monsters. A month later, one of the soldiers committed suicide. The diarist decided to steal the ammunition he had stored with his comrades. A few days later, mutated insects captured the bunker. The soldiers were unable to escape. This world was nearing its end. From this information, Sam realized that if they found this bunker, they would have access to a large amount of weapons. The next day, Lisa drove another crowd of monsters into a corner. Snowball performed the same task as the girl. At the same time, Sam was watching everything. Standing on the roof of a multi-story building, he reasoned that as soon as they dealt with this crowd of zombies, he would be able to break through to the next level. After waiting a few moments, he jumped down, spreading his arms to the sides. A couple of seconds later, he landed on his feet. From his destructive force, the surface within a few meters was covered with cracks, and pieces of the road flew up in pieces. Finding himself in front of a huge crowd of undead, he commanded the girls to move on to their main plan, after which Anna emerged from the shelter and attacked them. Lisa kept up with her, firing powerful cannons at her enemies. Explosions echoed throughout streets, destroying everyone in their path. Snowball dealt with the remaining zombies on the neighboring streets. The hero did not want to be idle when all of his comrades were having fun to the fullest. He decided to try out his new abilities. Activating the skill, the beam from his hands swept across the entire street, leaving behind large clouds of dust. Examining the result, the guy decided to use this ability only in extreme cases. Sometime later, he was running through the streets, collecting cannonballs from killed monsters. When he collected enough, the system reported that his level had increased. To Sam's surprise, the ability he gained was also improved. After that, he decided to increase some characteristics. Thanks to the improvements, he was able to cover a long distance in a matter of seconds and return to his comrades. Lisa was surprised by his sudden appearance and asked when he learned to teleport. He explained that this was an evasion talent, after which he asked how many cores she lacked to increase the level. The girl answered with disappointment that she didn't even have notifications about the update. When the hero was surprised by her words and asked for details, she switched to another topic, saying that monsters were now avoiding them. She had not seen a single crawler. Sam knew that they were far from stupid. He would search for them on his own. By activating his detection ability, he was able to scan the area for several kilometers, after which he discovered the place where the enemies were hiding. The crawlers gathered in the building were waiting for something. A suddenly collapsed wall threw one of them back. Everyone else noticed the sudden noise. Suddenly, an explosion was heard in the destroyed room. A few moments later, Sam found himself in the very room he had just attacked. The surviving crawlers tried to escape. The guy told Lisa that he would drive them into a trap. She didn't have to worry about the cartridges. Her task was to kill them all. The girl replied that he could rely on her. Meanwhile, the surviving people were discussing the fact that in recent days, someone has been intensively killing monsters in the city. At this rate, a fierce struggle for resources will soon begin, and they should unite in groups. In the group of survivors, another clash occurred between Ivan and Paul, who had already recovered from the last incident. The man insisted that now was the best chance to get out for supplies. Ivan insisted that the decrease in the number of undead was only a temporary phenomenon. They were not strong enough, and they should not expose themselves to such a risk. Irritated, Paul said that the lack of supplies was the biggest risk. He would personally lead the team, and he did not care about the commander's opinion on this matter. Ivan did not understand why Paul could not calmly obey the orders of his commander. Ignoring Ivan, the man approached his comrades, saying that today they would capture the nearby area. The rest of the group stood back, watching Paul's thoughtless, unauthorized activities. When Ivan said that although the zombies had left, they could not avoid the impending disaster, Sasha looked at him excitedly. A few hours later, evening came and the lights came on in our hero's house. She and Lisa were sitting at a table with delicious dishes on it. Anna approached the table with another plate in her hands, saying that this was her signature dish. Lisa was truly surprised by how many different dishes she was able to prepare from one ingredient. When everyone finally sat down at the table, She was overjoyed and didn't know where to start. Sam was amazed at her behavior. She explained that in her past life she often went hungry, to the point where she had to eat tree roots. After that, she changed the topic, saying that thanks to Anna they were able to sell everything, thanks to which they now have 30 cans of gasoline. The girl did not want to admit that she was born in this world and did not come from another, like everyone else. The hero decided that tomorrow they would go to the bunker. He explained this by saying that the number of undead had decreased significantly, so now was the best time to stock up on supplies for the new stage. The next morning, after Snowball ate the special food, he suddenly began to grow. Everyone was very surprised and did not understand what was happening. But the next moment, the system reported that the beast's level had increased. He also had a new ability. He could summon his poisonous shadow to join the battle. The hero reasoned that, given the current level of power of his pet, he could safely leave territory on him, after which he approached him and, patting him on the head, said that he would leave the house to him while they extracted resources. Hugging him, Lisa noted that his behavior had not changed at all, but his size was awe-inspiring. A few moments later, Sam called out to the girls and told them it was time for them to move out. Meanwhile, Paul was pleased that resources were surprisingly easy to obtain. The other players trembled in fear of him. One man asked what was wrong with their camp. They tricked them into helping and then intended to kill them. Paul replied that it was not his fault. Such commands are given by their commander. He cannot resist his will. When the man asked if they were afraid of becoming everyone's enemies, he replied that they were strong enough to protect themselves. Then he told the trembling man that if he left everything he had here, Paul would show mercy and let him go. The poor guy asked if Paul was joking with him. He confirmed that there was no talk of any jokes. Besides, no one else knows what their commander really is except him. After his words, the man actively nodded his head, agreeing to the conditions. He gave all the spatial rings he had to the guy, after which the man and two comrades rushed to the exit until Paul changed his mind. Looking at the retreating backs, the guy smiled predatorily, thinking that he would help Ivan create a wonderful image for their camp. Meanwhile, unknown men in suits have tracked down a group that has been actively robbing others for the past few days. One of the men with a rifle sat on the floor, preparing to carry out his task. A few seconds later, he aimed in the direction of the desired window and waited for the right moment. Paul's group did not even suspect the threat looming over them, but when they turned around at the sudden noise, it was too late. Suddenly, one of the survivor team ran to Ivan and excitedly reported that Paul and the guys had been captured by foreigners. The commander did not understand what they were talking about and asked for detailed explanations. The guy said that they were calmly getting supplies when they were suddenly attacked by people who were in cahoots with foreigners. They wanted to kill them. Sasha asked why only he returned and where everyone else was, to which he replied that everyone was dead. These people only let him go so that he could give them a note. When she was in the girl's hands, he continued that if they did not deliver the supplies to the designated place today, these people would attack their camp. Studying the contents, Sasha realized that what they were demanding was almost half of their entire inventory. The other members of the group argued that it was better for them to leave here as soon as possible. They would not be able to stand against foreigners. Hearing this, Ivan hastened to reassure, saying that there are many more players from China and they will be able to fight back. Even if they gave up half of the supplies, they could get them again. But he understood that they might not be released so easily. When Sasha asked if Ivan was really going to fulfill this requirement, he replied that he had a plan. Meanwhile, Sam and his comrades explored the nearby caves in the mountains. Lisa had been walking for quite some time, but still could not reach the center of the nest, which seemed endless to the girl. Suddenly, a mutated zombie appeared in front of her. The girl was very scared when he began to approach her. The next moment, she remembered her ability and, overpowering her fear, told the zombie to show her where the weapon was kept. He stopped and looked at her carefully. The next moment, he began to turn his head from side to side, looking around, after which the monster headed in a direction unknown to Lisa. She thought that apparently she had managed to increase her level and discover a new ability. She rushed after him, explaining what exactly she was looking for. After listening to the girl, the zombie pointed his finger in the direction in which she should move. Meanwhile, Sam was fighting mutants in another part of the cave. He again came across a huge zombie, which had a high level of protection and incredible strength. His armor and defensive skill reduced the damage by 30%, but even with this, the guy could barely hold back the enemy's onslaught. He could only hope that Lisa would find the mechanism as quickly as possible. Distracting him from his thoughts, the monster attacked again. Lisa had been moving in the direction indicated by the zombie for some time. She constantly looked around, but found nothing. After walking a few more meters, she finally found what she had been looking for so long. Mechanized warriors stood before her. She could only see 4 of them. The rest were mostly suitable only for disassembly for spare parts. Of the surviving ones, she managed to find only one mechanism, but it was most likely broken. After examining everything, she called Sam, reporting the deplorable situation. He asked the girl to wait for him. He would come down to her now. Noticing the guy's condition, the girl asked if he was injured. He replied that he had missed one blow, but overall everything was fine. Lisa warned him that there were patrol monsters here. Hearing her warning, the hero said that he would distract them and she should be ready to attack them at a convenient moment. Without holding back her emotions, she shouted that it was too dangerous and that next time she would be responsible for drawing up the plan, which attracted the attention of the patrol monsters. Suddenly, explosions occurred in several places in the place where Lisa was. The zombies immediately ran towards the noise. They thoughtlessly rushed through the fire towards the exits. The next moment, Sam appeared in front of the shocked girl. He immediately ordered her to surround the place with a poisonous fog so that he could repair the robots. He needed to buy time. When the guy activated the ability, the system reported that it would take 30 minutes to repair. When the saddened Lisa headed towards the monsters, the hero managed to grab her hand, saying that he had found about 100 grenades. With their help, she could stall for time. After which he handed the weapon to her. A few moments later, she was fulfilling the guy's request when another patrolman appeared from the opening. She rushed from her place in the direction of the new enemy. At the same time, Sam began to get nervous. The consumption of materials spent on repairs was too great. He began to suspect that they would run out before he managed to fix the robot. As she approached, Lisa attracted the attention of the zombies. She used the grenades she received to force him to follow her. Even though she couldn't kill him, she was going to wear him down. Running away from the monsters, she was preparing a new batch of grenades. The explosions reached right up to the entrance to the cave, where a dozen of the same mutants crowded around the truck. Sometime later, Lisa had used up everything she had, from bullets to missiles. She could barely move after spending all her energy on the monsters. She thought that since there had been no news from Sam all this time, then everything was not going smoothly for him either, as he had hoped. 2 more giants rose in front of the girl among the green steam. Even though she didn't have much strength left, she couldn't risk calling a hero for help. She strengthened the effect of her ability, thinking that in the worst case she had nothing to fear. She would only change her occupation, becoming a full-fledged zombie. Suddenly, an incomprehensible sound was heard behind the monsters. A moment later, a robot emerged from the steam. He rose into the air without attracting the zombies' attention. Then he rushed between them at high speed. When the robot landed next to the girl, the hero said that he was able to repair the mechanism, although he did not have enough resources, but he could fly. Sam told the girl to go home, and he would deal with the undead. Jumping out of the robot, he shouted that he was leaving it to her. She must deliver it home safely, because it was the last surviving specimen in the world. After which he attacked the nearest zombie, diverting attention to himself. Having climbed inside, Lisa said that she vouched for him with her life and would definitely get home safe and sound. The hero was unable to inflict significant damage on the enemy. To a greater extent, he only dodged attacks. Suddenly, he decided to use his fire skill. At the same moment, Lisa started the robot and pressed the lever, preparing to send it. A second later, she flew up, leaving the hero with the enemies. He was glad that the girl managed to get out of here alive. The guy began to attack opponents more violently, without holding back his strength. Meanwhile, outside the territory of our hero's house, strange sounds were heard every now and then. Sasha tirelessly threw stones at the fence and glass, hoping that the owner of the house would come out and help them deal with the foreigners. Suddenly, the girl noticed a huge white wolf who was watching her actions from above. A moment later, he rushed at the intruder. She managed to jump away at the last moment. Sasha did not understand why there was a monster in Sam's house. As soon as she jumped into the window of the nearest building, in the hope that she had gotten away from him, he immediately appeared behind her. She couldn't afford to fail such an important task, so she decided to lure the wolf to the commander. But she didn't have time to run far. He jumped straight at her. Meanwhile, Paul was suspended above the floor by his arms, and a strange man sat next to him. Looking at his watch, he said that if this guy's comrades didn't show up any minute, they would have no other choice. After his words, one of the bodyguards poured an unknown liquid on Paul's head. He had difficulty focusing his gaze on one point. He thought that in the end, Ivan had abandoned him. The man lit a lighter, saying that he would save the boy from all his suffering. Paul was horrified by his words. A sudden sound made the foreigners turn around. Ivan could not remain idle in this situation. He appeared at the promised time. The men saw only a lonely silhouette that was slowly approaching them. Klin did not understand where the guard standing at the entrance had gone. His bodyguard checked the sensors and suggested that the guard could have been eliminated. Approaching a safe distance, Ivan threw a ring towards the men. He said that he had brought what he promised. Now it was their turn to release the hostage. Wedge jumped up from his seat, clutching his pistol, and asked if the guy was familiar with the concept of business negotiations. Ivan stood alone in front of a dozen armed men. Smiling, the man said that he would accept the supplies, despite the boy's lack of manners, and would repay him generously. Ivan quipped with self-confidence. He heard that Europeans are good at doing business, but judging by this situation, they were just empty rumors. Klin replied that instead of honoring the terms of the contract, they preferred to show their strength in order to suppress the enemy. After his words, the guy opened his shirt, showing him that he had explosives wrapped around him, which he could activate at any moment, and then they would all be non-residents. The man had no choice, and he ordered his men to release Paul. A few moments later, he watched grittedly as his prey slipped from his grasp. He told his bodyguard to send some people after them to eliminate these guys. Ivan ran as fast as he could, moving away from that place. Paul asked why run so fast. If they had gone far enough, even if they caught up with them, they would not dare to touch them. The commander replied that the explosives on him were just a dummy, and they needed to get to a safe place as soon as possible. Paul was surprised by this statement, but Ivan wondered why the foreigners did not try to lure the hostage to their side. As he turned the corner, he hoped that his guys had time to prepare everything they needed. At this moment, one of the foreigners jumps down from above. Ivan watched in horror as the man landed, his plan completely ruined. Looking at his target, the foreigner said that his boss told them to convey something. After his words, Paul said that if Ivan had listened to him at the very beginning, they would not have found themselves in such a situation. The commander calmly replied that he could not risk the lives of everyone for his sake alone. Paul was outraged by his words. Now the commander is risking even more lives. The man interrupted their argument, saying that if they left him the explosives, he would let them go. Suddenly, a huge wolf appeared behind him, which greatly frightened the foreigner. He didn't understand where such a monster came from. Smiling, he turned to Ivan and asked if this was their help, while simultaneously taking out his rifle. Snowball began to bark, preparing to attack. The foreigners just laughed, wondering who would have thought of doing such a thing to a domestic dog. Sasha appeared and shouted to her comrades to take advantage of the opportunity and leave as quickly as possible. It seemed to Ivan that something was wrong. Crouching, he threw a grenade towards the opponents, after which there was an explosion, and thick smoke blocked the visibility of several meters. Realizing that the guys had slipped away, the foreigner shouted to his assistants to catch up with them. Snowball also did not remain idle. Hiding in the smoke, he released his shadow. The man did not immediately notice something that was rapidly approaching him. As he started to run, Snowball caught up with his target and bit off his leg. Wedge was annoyed. After an hour, there was no news from those whom he sent after the escaped guys. Suddenly, a white wolf appeared in the distance with a rifle in his hands. The men standing guard were surprised by the appearance of such a monster in this area. Klin picked up a pistol, telling his men to shoot at the approaching beast. They followed the order, and a second later, shots rang out. Avoiding the bullets, Snowball jumped onto the wall, confusing the aliens. The next moment, he jumped down, hitting the foreigners. He tore those who remained with his claws and fangs. Klin and his associates rushed to the exit, saving their lives. Snowball howled, calling for his shadow. A moment later, he and his shadow counterparts rushed at the men. They spared no one, biting into the necks of their victims. Meanwhile, 3 people slowly walked towards the shelter. He thanked Ivan and Sasha, saying that now he could go himself. After which, he turned around and went in a different direction, saying that he was doing this all for the greater good. Sasha wanted to stop her friend, but Ivan's hand did not allow the girl to take a step. She only shouted at the retreating man's back that by saving him they had only wasted time and energy. Paul was not going to rely on someone like their commander. He would soon be promoted himself, and then he intended to get rid of Ivan. Many trucks were driving along the street in the dead of night. A military truck followed immediately behind them. A squad of trained fighters calmly waited for the moment when they were ordered to act. Sometime later, the man gave the signal to stop, after which he went to the soldiers and ordered them to kill everyone in this city. He was obliged to avenge his brother. Everyone began to leave, carrying boxes of supplies with them. They were warned that somewhere in the area there was a fighting wolf, which also needed to be eliminated. All this time, Paul was lying nearby in the bushes. Realizing everything he saw here, he realized that with so many troops in the city, they were all doomed. Suddenly, a flying robot appeared in the sky. The foreigners were amazed by this. They did not understand where they got something like this from. The commander told everyone to hide. Meanwhile, Lisa, who was flying, was trying to understand why there were so many foreigners here. Suddenly, a great idea came to her mind. She began to descend over the heads of the soldiers, after which the robot activated its cannons. The commander shouted that the enemy would start firing at them any second. The girl watched as the foreigners quickly climbed back into the trucks and drove away. After waiting a few more seconds, Lisa went home. Paul rose from the ground, thinking that having a robot like this would be a huge advantage. Remembering the resources he had left behind, he decided to take advantage of the moment and pick them up before any more witnesses appeared. Looking around, he carefully came out of his hiding place. As he inspected the contents of one of the crates, he found a physique enhancer and a new weapon. Having something like this in his hands, he was sure that he would become awakened much faster than Ivan, and then he would return to the survivor camp and become their king. Returning home, Snowball threw about a dozen rings and a rifle onto the ground. Anna, standing next to him, was surprised by the wolf's catch. Switching from the rings, she praised Snowball. Suddenly, she noticed something flying across the sky. Having looked closely, she realized that the guys still managed to find the surviving mechanisms. However, the robot did not reach their house, crashing several kilometers away. Meanwhile, Sam was driving home in the truck. On the way, he talked with the girls. From the conversation, he learned that there were foreign troops in the city, but by luck, Lisa managed to scare them off. When the hero suggested that they might return, Lisa suggested evacuating the city. The foreigners have a lot of weapons and people. They cannot resist trained warriors in such conditions. Sam was against it. He said that it was best to ambush them near the city. If someone approached, they could open fire from a safe distance. When Anna said that in his condition this was not the best idea, he smiled and replied that he had a way to deal with the invaders. Having completed the call, he immediately headed towards the entrance to the city, completely confident in his abilities. Sometime later, the girls saw the foreigners' cars returning to the city again. Anna pulled out her weapon, preparing to attack. After waiting for the right moment, she fired a shell at one of the trucks. A second later, there was a deafening explosion. The girl intended to destroy them all, so she aimed at the next truck. There was another explosion, and the car began to be engulfed in flames. An intact tank also aimed at the girls. After the place where they were fired at was discovered, Lisa noticed him and grabbed her friend's hand and dragged her inside the building. A moment later, the foreigners attacked the building. The girls ran as fast as they could, trying to get to a safe place, but explosions followed them all the way. The man sitting in the tank climbed to the surface and cleared his throat, picking up the loudspeaker. He demanded that they give him the flying robot. Then he would save their lives. The girls heard him perfectly well, clearing their throats from the dust of the dilapidated building. Lisa said that they should not allow foreigners to get their way by any means. Without waiting for an answer, the man decided to move from words to actions. He launched a powerful stream of fire towards the building where the enemies were hiding. The girls ran as fast as they could, risking serious burns. Suddenly, Lisa heard familiar sounds. She realized that Snowball had come to their aid. The next moment, a white wolf of amazing size attacked the tank. The foreigners watching this began to shoot at the huge monster that killed their captain. Jack leveled the tank, intending to kill the animal. He waited for the right moment when the wolf came within range of his guns. When the girls ran out into the street, they saw a tank fire a shell towards Snezhka. Filled with terror, they screamed for the wolf to run away, hoping that he would hear their warning. Hearing familiar voices, Snowball turned towards the girls and saw danger approaching him, but he did not have time to react in time and was caught in the explosion. Lisa, with tears in her eyes, rushed towards the wolf, sharing her pain. Anna stopped her friend from such a rash act. Lisa looked at the foreigners with hatred, trying to stop her tears. Anya said that they must survive to avenge him. A moment later, they ran away from that place, but they were chased. Suddenly, the pursuers were destroyed by a surprise attack. Their truck appeared in front of the girls, and Sam told them to get inside as quickly as possible. He was surprised when Lisa walked up the steps in tears. When he heard that Snowball was dead, he was stunned and could not believe his ears. The hero left the city, but they were still pursued by enemy vehicles. He understood that they could not easily cope with so many opponents. The guy hoped that his plan would succeed, after which he drove into one of the caves in the mountains. Jack followed him into the cave, unaware of the danger lurking there. As a car drove past the giant zombie, he opened his blood-red eyes. Then he attacked a passing truck. Foreigners did not understand what was happening here. The zombie slammed his fists onto the ground, shattering the floor. Jack climbed out of the tank to see what was happening outside. Raising his head, he saw how the several-meter monster raised its fists for a new blow. At that moment, he realized that following that guy was his biggest mistake. A second later, the zombie's fists landed on the tank. The system reported that the monster was immobilized and could be destroyed by attacking its weak point, its eyes. Without hesitation, he climbed out of the truck with a sword in his hands. He jumped and flew towards the monster, intending to get as close to its face as possible. A moment later, he plunged the blade into the zombie's eye, after which the hero sank back to the ground. The system reported that he became the first survivor who managed to defeat a giant zombie, for killing which he received a level 3 treasure chest. Although he defeated his enemies, it did not pass without a trace for him. The wound received in the previous battle reminded of itself, and the hero coughed up blood. When he sank to the ground, excited girls ran towards him. In the morning, 2 survivors came across the place where the foreigners were defeated. One of them said that the decision to hide was the right one. Now they can collect the remaining supplies and weapons. Approaching the dead Jack, the guy in the tracksuit kicked him, regretting that he had not been able to get rid of him himself. Sensing someone else's presence, his partner called out to him, pointing somewhere to the side. A few meters away, they noticed the silhouette of a stranger standing on a fallen zombie. They looked in this direction for several moments. Noticing the strangers approaching, Matt turned in their direction. He saw 2 guys who said that this was now their territory. When the man asked when she became theirs, they smugly drew their weapons, preparing to attack. But they didn't have time to take even 3 steps before they were shot in the head. Finally, Matt said that if anyone entered the Wolf Fang's territory, it would be the last thing they did. Afterwards, he contacted his subordinate, asking if the girl managed to find the one they had been looking for so long. Alexa replied that she looked around the area, but did not find anyone. She admired the fact that the boy managed to escape with such serious injuries. After listening to her, he ordered his men to wrap it up. If the guy ran away, then he was definitely somewhere nearby. Climbing into the car, Matt said that they had to find him before the wave of zombies poured in again. A few moments later, all the trucks left the area, heading into the city. Meanwhile, Sam and the girls returned to the outskirts of the city, trying to find Snowball's body. Suddenly, the system reported the approach of 5 mutants. But due to injury, the hero's mobility would be greatly reduced, so he should take refuge in a safe place as quickly as possible. The guy didn't have time to do anything when a creeper appeared on the roof of the house. The sound of several more monsters was heard from the side. Turning around, Sam realized that they were surrounded. Lisa was surprised by such a number and asked if the guy could hold out with his wounds, but he replied that everything was normal and she shouldn't worry. A moment later, the 3 of them began to fight the monsters. Smiling, Lisa said that if Sam died, she would eat all the meat and potatoes, and there wouldn't be even the slightest piece left for him. Accepting her challenge, he said that he would never give her such pleasure, after which he pierced the head of one of the crawlers. While drawing his sword, he managed to cut off the head of another opponent. Suddenly, someone approached him from behind. What he saw made him freeze for several moments. He realized that he could not cope with something like that in his current state. Stood in front of him, a huge monster with blood-red eyes and sections of its massive body burned to the flesh. A moment later, he rushed towards the guy. The system reported that mutants were approaching from behind. The guy was surprised that the system ignored the danger in the face of the bloodthirsty monster in front of him. To Sam's surprise, it didn't attack him, but the zombies behind him. The hero turned around, trying to understand what was happening. The monster completely ignored the guy's existence, focusing only on the undead. When a zombie approached him from behind, dodging him, he suddenly realized that the monster's roar seemed painfully familiar to him. Suddenly, white steam began to emanate from the monster. When a zombie approached Sam again, the monster got rid of it, and the guy noticed that after eating the undead, the animal's wounds had healed. At the same time, the girls dealt with almost all the enemies. Lisa said that they should rush to help Sam. All this time they were watched by hidden people who were trying to understand where they got such skills to fight zombies. Sam also dealt with almost all the monsters on his territory. A girl hiding nearby watched the guy's actions in horror, afraid of being discovered. When the girls ran to where Sam should be, they did not understand where such a large number of zombies had gone. A few moments later, the hero discovered a blonde girl who, with tears in her eyes, begged him not to kill her. He realized that she was from Japan and asked why she was invading foreign territory. The girl did not have time to answer. At that moment, Lisa and Anna came running. The latter asked what happened here. The guy waited until his friends approached and opened the backpack he had found earlier, revealing a dog covered in soot. Hearing a familiar bark, the girls stopped in surprise, not believing their eyes. A moment later, they ran up to Snowball, hugging him happily. The hero said that before he had many wounds, but as soon as he feasted on the zombies, they all healed. Taking a break from such a touching moment, he asked where their uninvited guest was going. He stuck the blade in front of her, blocking her path and repeating his question about what she forgot here. Trembling, she said that her name was Sophia, and she was Chinese. She had been captured by the Japanese earlier, and if not for the hero, they would have gotten rid of her sooner or later. When he asked why she tried to run away from him, she replied that she was just scared, after which, clinging to him, she said that she was ready to do anything if he took her with him, even if it was something indecent. Sam froze like a statue, trying to understand what was wrong with this girl. Lisa and Anna, hugging Snowball, stared at her in surprise. The guy lifted the girl from her knees and said that if she wants to go with them, then she needs to prove her devotion. Sophia clung to him, saying that she would do whatever he asked her to do. He grabbed his head, not understanding what was in this girl's head. Taking out his sword, he told her to give him her spatial ring. The girls waited patiently, watching what was happening. Inspecting the contents of Sophia's ring, the hero realized that it would be of little use. When Anna approached him, he said that in his life he had never seen things more useless than these. Sophia stood aside and dreamily said that she would gladly give him everything she had, but the guy ignored her, asking if Lisa had found anything useful. The girl said she found weapons, food, and basic necessities. Having thrown away all the unnecessary things, they dared to return home. In the truck, Anna asked the hero in a whisper if he was sure of his decision to take the stranger with him. Sam replied that she shouldn't worry. He had some plans for this girl. Anna blushed as the guy took her hand, trying to calm her down. He then said that judging by Sophia's tactics, most of her supplies were stolen from other players. He was sure that this girl was from Japan and he was going to take advantage of it. Lisa jumped up from her seat, turning his head back towards the road, saying that no matter how beautiful Sophia was, he should watch the road. Looking ahead, he saw that they were rushing straight towards the cliff. The hero began to brake sharply, telling the girls to hold on as tightly as possible. The car stopped a second before the front wheels left the surface of the bridge. Sam jumped out of the truck, saying he would check his surroundings. Suddenly, the system informed him that he was outside the permissible boundary and he needed to immediately return to shelter, after which he was unexpectedly attacked, but he managed to jump to the side. Looking up, he shouted for the girls not to get out of the car. Alexa had finally found this guy and wasn't going to let him leave so easily. Sam hid behind the truck, waiting for new enemy actions. A few moments later, someone began to approach from the other end of the bridge, but there were no system notifications of danger. A man approached and asked if Sam was the guy who found the arsenal in the cave. He just wanted to talk. The hero did not dare to come out of his hiding place and said that it was not too smart to attack if you just wanted to talk to the person. Lisa was sure that they wanted to deceive them and steal all their supplies, but Anna seemed surprised when she saw Matt's face. Convinced of her suspicions, she began to open the truck door to go out towards him. Lisa tried to stop her friend who jumped out. Seeing the girl running towards him, the guy was very surprised. Sam ran after her, trying to stop her. Alexa followed the guy, moving on top. Suddenly she jumped down. She landed right in front of Sam, who had stopped. He was alert and ready to repel her attack at any moment. But to his surprise, she threw down the weapon and said that she had come to apologize, not to fight. When the guy wanted to ask his question, he was stopped by Anna, who shouted that it was all one big misunderstanding. After which, she took Matt by the hand and said that he was her brother. Alexa and Sam froze, shocked by this news. Sometime later, the man said that he was the leader of the Wolf Fang camp. When the hero asked why they attacked, Alexa replied that the guy robbed the arsenal and single-handedly killed the mutated zombie guard, so they needed to take certain precautions against such a dangerous person. Sam asked what would have happened if Anna had not been here. What would Matt have done? The man replied that he would have found out more about him first. Now there are too many foreign mercenaries. They cannot allow strangers to take possession of valuable resources. After his words, the guy glanced in the direction of his truck, where Lisa and Sophia were sitting, agreeing with his reasoning. After a short pause, Matt continued, saying he would invite the guy to join them. They need fighters like him in their ranks. The man explained that, according to the latest data from their investigation, a huge crowd of more than 100,000 undead had poured into the neighboring city. If they reached them, the chances of survival would be almost zero. Sam was very surprised when he heard this news. Matt said that the people of China have a responsibility to unite against a common threat, which is why he is collecting supplies and weapons. After which, he said that they were now creating a military base in the south, and it was there that most of his people were transferred. The man invited the guy to go there with them. The hero considered Matt's proposal for several seconds, after which he said that he had thought it over carefully and made a decision. Sam replied that he would not go with them. He would do everything possible to prevent the crowd of undead from approaching the city. Alexa and Matt were very surprised by his words. The hero explained that if you don't try to stop them, the only thing left to do is avoid them. But the question is how long they will be able to hide from the zombies. That's why he believes that instead of running away from the problem, the best option is to train to become stronger. Anna asked how Sam was going to pull off something like that on his own, but Matt stopped her before she could finish her sentence. The hero said that since the girl was reunited with her brother, she could decide to stay with her family or go with the guy, after which he moved towards the truck. Anna ran after him, hoping that he would think it over again. Stopping, she asked her brother why he didn't convince him, because if they all went south together, it would be much better. Matt replied that he knew that look in the boy's eyes too well, full of confidence. He would never change his decision. Recalling his fight, the man said that given his abilities, he would be able to cope with those monsters that were moving into the city. When the hero approached the truck, the girls had already gone outside. Lisa was outraged by his crazy plan, and Sophia offered him a bottle of water. The guy accepted the water, thanking her, after which he said that there was a misunderstanding between them, and they would definitely discuss everything later. After which he turned to Lisa and said that Anna would most likely go with her brother. The girl was not ready to part with her newfound friend, so she began to be indignant, as if the guy could convince her to change her mind. When Sam said that Anna has the right to be reunited with her family, Lisa sadly looked down at the floor. Wrinkling the fabric of her jacket, she said that they too became a family during this time. The conversation was interrupted by Sophia, who clung to the guy and asked who all these strong people were and whether their company would go with them. A voice from the side made Sam look away from Sophia and look in the other direction. A few meters away from him stood Anna, who was once again thinking about the correctness of her decision. A few seconds later, she resolutely raised her head and said that she had made her choice. A few hours later, they were all sitting around a table full of delicious food at Sam's house, Lisa the most happy of all, saying that she was afraid she would never be able to taste Anna's food again. While threading a piece of potato, Sophia casually asked the girl where her brother's team was planning to stay. It seemed that he had quite a lot of people under his command. Anna, smiling, replied that she did not know such details. After her words, Sophia asked her if she really didn't know or simply didn't trust her. Lisa intervened in their conversation, offering the guest a treat. Sam also intervened, saying that soon there would be an influx of zombies here, so it's normal not to reveal your location to strangers. Starting tomorrow, their team will also search for supplies. He was glad to himself that Anna had realized not to reveal information of this kind to Sophia. The girl looked at the guy strangely. After his words, she felt that something was not being told to her. The hero calmly chewed the meat, thinking that the increase in the number of foreigners in the city was somehow connected with the impending wave of zombies. Having finished with dinner, he stood up from the table, saying that he would like to go to bed early after a hard day, and the girls could continue to enjoy their food in peace. As the guy turned towards the exit, Sophia grabbed him by the hem of his jacket, asking if she could walk around the area a little. Sam replied that she could do it, after which Snowball suddenly increased his size. After petting the wolf, the hero asked him to keep their guest company, thinking that as long as Snowball was next to her, she would not be able to do anything. As he lay on the bed in his room, the system informed him that the camp system had become available to him, and the guy was asked to join someone, or create his own camp. Sam chose to create his own, after which he was presented with 3 types of camp to choose from: shelter, survivor camp, mysterious organization. To the hero's surprise, the system informed him that, taking into account his level of power, he could choose the type of mysterious organization. After he chose it, he learned that the creator must be in the top 100 in terms of combat strength. This condition may change depending on the number of surviving players. Also, group members must be loyal to the leader and cannot betray him. Participants can join the group, hiding their true identity. In addition to everything, the leader can teleport to any of the participants. A couple of moments later, after checking all the necessary data, the system reported that all the conditions for creating a camp had been met. The next moment, a window appeared in front of him, where he needed to select a camp symbol and name. He wondered what name would be most appropriate for them. Having caught on to one of the proposed drawings, an idea with a suitable name instantly came to his mind, after which he introduced the name Dark Knight. Once the establishment of the camp was officially confirmed, he relaxed and stretched out on his bed, thinking that now he would finally go to bed with peace of mind. Suddenly, such a wonderful moment was disrupted by Sophia coming to his room. She was dressed in a cat-girl costume. When asked why she was here, the girl replied that the guy saved her, and she came to ask if her help was needed with anything. The guy sat up on the bed, almost syllable by syllable drawing out her words that she wanted to help, thinking how beneficial it would be for their team to use her desire to express gratitude. The next morning, their house was sparkling clean, and a fragrant, delicious breakfast awaited on the kitchen table. The plants outside also did not go without care. All the sprouts were watered. Anna and Lisa looked around the house in surprise, wondering who could have done all this. Suddenly, they noticed Sam and Sophia coming down from the 2nd floor, who asked if the guy was happy with her work, to which he replied that she should continue in the same spirit. After which he invited everyone to sit down at the table and have breakfast, because they had a lot of work to do today. Sophia was clearly not happy with his words. She had never been humiliated like this before in her life, being used as a servant. Sometime later, Sam's team was already fully dealing with the monsters. The girls shot at each of them, not missing a single enemy. The hero himself cut down opponents with his sword. When they dealt with everyone, Anna noticed that the number of undead in the city had decreased significantly, as well as the amount of resources. After her words, Lisa made fun of the guy, saying that he had upset the balance of this world, for which she paid, getting hit on the head. The girl continued without joking, saying that now he will not be able to quickly upgrade his skills, and there are only a few days left before the invasion of a wave of zombies. The hero glanced sideways at Sophia. He suspected that she knew exactly where the zombies were hanging out. Approaching her, he asked where she and her past partners encountered monsters. Thoughtful, she replied that it was not far from the bomb shelter, after which she asked if he wanted to go there. Having received his positive answer, she smilingly replied that the place was sealed, and almost no one had been there, so he would be able to have a good time with the zombies. Meanwhile, Paul's comrades fled in horror from the zombies, realizing that they had been blatantly lied to and used as bait. A man who watched this from above said that he only promised to take them to the bridge, but did not say that he would protect them. The guys tried to escape from their death, which was approaching them with every second. At one point, the monsters still overtook their victims, giving them a painful death. Meanwhile, Ivan, who was nearby, used all his strength to move the huge stone from its place. A few moments later, the cobblestone gave way and began to slowly move towards the cliff. The monsters were distracted from their meal by a sudden sound. Raising his head, one of them saw that a huge stone was flying towards them, but the zombies did not have time to react to such a sudden attack and were forever buried under this cobblestone. Ivan could barely stand on his feet after doing something similar using all his strength. Sam was a couple of kilometers away when the system reported that there was a superpowered person nearby who met the requirements for his group. He looked closely in the direction from which the noise had been heard a couple of seconds ago. Descending from the hill, he shouted to his people to run away from here, after which he ran towards the monster, which was about to attack his comrade. He took off the zombie's head with one blow, after which he began to fight with the crawler, and the girl, taking advantage of the moment, rushed away. Suddenly the blade pierced the monster. Sam rushed past Ivan at lightning speed, getting rid of the zombies approaching from behind. Having recovered from the shock, the man noticed that with each new meeting the guy was becoming stronger. Sam countered by saying that every time they meet, he is always surrounded by a crowd of undead. After which, Ivan asked the guy about the reasons for his appearance here, and suggested that he was also heading to the Japanese shelter. Seeing the surprise on the hero's face, the man explained that it was located right across the bridge. They provided food and accommodation there, but Sam just grinned, saying that free cheese only comes in a mousetrap. Ivan agreed with this, but his people began to leave the camp, and he had no choice but to help them get to a safe place. After which he said goodbye to Sam, leaving in an unknown direction. The hero looked at the leaving man, thinking that he was strong enough, and it would be worth trying to recruit him into his group. Paul grinned venomously, asking Ivan why he didn't tell the kid the truth. Having reached the indicated place, Sam asked Sophia if the girl was talking about him. She said that this was it, but the main entrance was blocked. She was going to suggest that he take a detour and enter from the back door, but the guy had already taken out a grenade and pulled the pin out of it. Then he threw him into the barricaded entrance. A moment later, there was a powerful explosion. The girl said displeasedly that it was thoughtless and the building could collapse after such tricks. The guy replied matter-of-factly that this was a bomb shelter, so such a weak explosion would not have caused him any damage. After which he invited the girl to be the first to enter the shelter. She agreed to fulfill his request. The girl was thinking about how she could get in touch with her people. She had no doubt that with this guy's abilities, she would easily get into the laboratory and get the necessary information. She couldn't help but take advantage of such a wonderful opportunity. Sometime later, Sam cut down his opponents, noting that there were too many of them. But fortunately for him, they were all weak. Suddenly something caught his attention. On one of the walls he noticed a ventilation hole from which strange sounds were emanating. A moment later, a huge crawler appeared from there. Some time later the hero dealt with all the monsters in this room. Sophia, standing aside, admired his abilities. Ignoring her, he began searching for useful resources in the room. The girl was unhappy that the resources she had been hunting for so long went to this boy. She couldn't contain her anger as she kicked the zombie's corpse. But she was glad that the Chinese still did not know what was in the depths of this shelter. Otherwise it would have been empty long ago, after which she approached the hero, saying that there was another storage room here. Unbeknownst to him, Sophia hid a folding knife in her pocket. When they reached the desired corridor, they saw a huge hole in the floor that blocked their path. Sam asked if the girl was sure that there would be another warehouse further down. She replied that the Japanese were desperately trying to get there, but they were not strong enough. Suddenly the system reported that there was a bottomless pit under which a huge volcano was locked. The hero did not understand why the girl did not consider it necessary to inform him about such an important nuance. The next moment, the system warned him about the danger behind. If he did not avoid, he would end up in a hole. After reading this, he turned his head towards Sophia. The girl attacked him with a knife, intending to kill him. The guy managed to move to the side, causing the knife to stick into the stone wall behind his back. Despite the failed attack, the girl pushed him into the pit with her foot. Happily watching the guy fly down, she wished him a happy death, after which she, without holding back, laughed out loud. Sam flew down, calling his sword from the spatial ring. He didn't mean to die so early. A moment later, he stuck the blade into the wall, slowing his fall. A few seconds later, he finally stopped. Hanging on the hilt of his sword, he realized that the girl's ultimate goal was in that very room. He was glad that this protracted performance was finally over. But now he had to deal with the monster below. The giant zombie rushed towards its target. Looking over its characteristics, Sam came to the conclusion that he needed to destroy at least 30% of the enemy's body for him to die. Suddenly, he remembered that he had a useful thing lying around somewhere that could help in his situation. A moment later, many canisters began to fall down. The monster stood and did not understand what was happening. At one point, he began to fight off the falling canisters, thereby pouring their contents onto himself. Sam was glad about this and took out a firearm, saying that it would be hot now. After that, he pointed the gun at the monster's body. A second later, he fired, after which an explosion occurred below, the flames completely engulfing the zombie's body. After that, he began to slowly pull the sword out of the wall. Pushing off from the wall, he jumped the next moment. He flew right over the raging flames, from which the roars of the monster could still be heard. A few moments later, he found himself on the opposite wall without any damage. With some effort, Sam managed to climb up and find the laboratory. The laboratory room contained many remains from human experiments. Meanwhile, the girl was digging through old records, trying to find the information she needed. She managed to contact her people. The man could hardly believe that the girl really managed to get to this room. Sophia replied that with her charm, nothing is impossible for her. As the girl began to share information about Sam and where his house was, she felt a sharp pain in her chest and coughed up blood. Having pierced her with a sword, the hero said that if she had not told the details about him, she would have lived a little longer. The next moment he pulled out a weapon, and the girl fell. Looking around, Sam said that a name like Raven suits this laboratory perfectly. Then he looked at the table and the diary lying there, noticing that the emblem was the same as what he had seen earlier. He was interested in what exactly the Japanese were up to if they needed this kind of recording. Suddenly a call came from Lisa. Having accepted the challenge, he asked the girl how the business he had entrusted to her was going. She replied that his fears were confirmed, and Sophia was indeed from Japan. He and Anna pretended to be refugees and met a group from Japan who were stocking up on supplies. Lisa found out that they kidnapped beautiful girls and abused them. When the guy asked if everything was okay with Anna, the girl said offendedly that she was also beautiful and everything was fine with both of them. After that, she ran to her friend, looking at the data that the girl received, and told Sam to open the broadcast of Sigmund Florence, because he was somehow involved in this matter. He started looking for information about a man he had never heard of before. Suddenly he froze and said that he had found it. The guy in the recording was eating a variety of food, saying that if they come to them, they will not need for anything. There is plenty of both food and resources. The Japanese are very friendly. This provocation was too obvious. If they really had a lot of supplies, they would not have interfered with their city. Suddenly his thoughts were interrupted by a cough. The guy in the video choked on his food and didn't look as healthy as before, after which the broadcast was interrupted. As soon as they stopped filming Tom, everything he had eaten before came out. A man approached and asked why he didn't eat anymore, to which the guy said that he couldn't do it anymore and he needed to rest a little. Looking at Tom's condition, he said that the boy was really not capable of more, after which he took a chicken leg from the plate. The guy froze, watching the man's every move. A few seconds later, he asked if he really wanted to be eaten, biting into the meat. Trembling with fear, Tom apologized and said that he would eat as much as he needed, as long as he didn't get killed. The man did not let him finish, getting rid of a resource that was useless to him. All the other people locked in cages watched in horror such a cruel end to their cellmate. Meanwhile, Sam searched the room in search of something useful, reasoning that although the broadcast was not bad, it was unlikely that anyone would fall for such an obvious trap. Suddenly he remembered Ivan's group, which was heading to the Japanese hideout. A system notification interrupted his thought process, informing him that in the far corner there was a secret passage to the laboratory, providing an access code, after which he turned his attention to the farthest wall. He had no idea that there could be something like that here. He walked up to it and tried to feel for the hidden door. A couple of minutes later he returned to the beginning, probing more carefully. He did not find either the lock or the space where he needed to enter the code. He noticed that there were many scratches from zombie claws all over the wall, but one section of the wall attracted him. The scratches found were different from the rest. There were sometimes 3 fingers, sometimes 6, which was strange. Suddenly, the system reminded him of a 6-digit code, after which he realized that these were not the marks of zombie claws, but the remaining clues to enter the secret room. A moment later, he began to make scratches one by one, according to the numbers in the code. When all the scratches were made, the secret door opened, letting the hero inside. Entering inside, he was amazed that the entire room was completely filled with supplies. The joy of the discovery slowly spread throughout his body. He was actively collecting contents into a spatial ring when the system reported that corrosion bombs were capable of quickly eliminating giant zombies, which might not have pleased Sam. While examining the shelves, he found a recipe for a subjugation serum, which, as it turned out, was the only one in the whole world. This remedy can be used on players who have a lower rank than the user, after which this person will become a faithful servant. He realized how lucky he was to be here before the Japanese. If such a thing were in the hands of the enemy, the consequences would be terrifying. Suddenly he noticed a hole behind the closet. The hero moved away the piece of furniture that was in his way and saw a passage dug by someone in the wall. After the guy climbed through the passage, he recognized the room he found himself in, and it was from here that he pulled Anna out. He was looking around here when his gaze caught something on one of the walls. Sam realized that the Japanese were still here, judging by the inscription left that the Chinese could receive protection in the Japanese camp. At the same time, Ivan and his people reached the borders of the shelter. At the other end of the bridge, they were already expected and joyfully greeted. The attention of the arriving group was attracted by screams. A crowd of refugees crowded around the guy, demanding the food they were promised. 2 men stood at a distance, watching the new arrivals. The blonde was interested in Ivan's group. They stood out from the general background. His partner assessed the level of ability of the newly arrived team using his abilities. He noted that their performance was above average, which was worthy of respect. Bruce told his friend to send them to the laboratory. Friedrich would be glad to have such capable experimental subjects. Suddenly, Richard was attracted by an unfamiliar energy that disappeared as quickly as it appeared. When Bruce asked his friend if everything was okay, he replied that it just seemed to him that there were strangers here. Anna and Lisa managed to escape before they were noticed. They did not understand what Ivan and his guys needed here. The guy, whom the survivor team had previously noticed, told the people crowded around him that there was a small cafe here and suggested everyone go there together, after which he approached the group of arrivals who were watching him and offered to join them. But Ivan refused, saying that they were just accompanying people and did not intend to join them. Hearing his words, Bruce and Richard approached them, saying that they did not intend to force anyone and understood the guy's caution, so they would like to demonstrate their sincerity. Even if the group did not intend to stay, they would still receive supplies. A moment later, several promised boxes of provisions appeared in front of the survivor team. The Japanese said that Ivan could come at any time, along with his people, and they would be supported here. Ivan was not at ease in his soul from the moment when they first set foot on this territory. Now his comrades, delighted, ran to the boxes, ignoring the objections of their commander. They were so pleased with what they found in the boxes that they decided to move to this camp without delay. Suddenly one of them discovered a bomb at the bottom of his box. The next moment it exploded, attracting the attention of everyone nearby. When the smoke from the explosion cleared, everyone from the survivor team lay unconscious. Richard, standing near their bodies, ordered the crowd, who had been watching what was happening all this time, to take them to the laboratory if they did not want to finish the same way. Lisa and Anna also saw everything that happened. They were amazed at such meanness. Anna was tormented by the question for what purpose they were gathering such a large number of people here. Meanwhile, the hero managed to get out of the laboratory and return home. When he went inside, he was greeted by Snowball. He was surprised when he found no girls at home. Then he remembered that he had brought something useful for the pet. He gave the wolf special food and was going to call the girls to find out the reason for their delay. A couple of moments later, Lisa answered his call, saying that Anna had decided to infiltrate the Japanese hideout itself. She could not dissuade her from such a crazy act. While walking, she said that Ivan and his team were captured. Anna says that they are obliged to save them. She cannot watch this with folded hands. This girl's sense of justice reminded Sam of her brother. Sighing heavily, he told them to be extremely careful. He advanced towards them. Having completed the conversation, he told Snowball that he was obliged to protect the house in his absence. If someone appeared here, he must be eliminated immediately. Just before leaving, he left several boxes of food for the wolf so that it would not go hungry in his absence. At the same time, people from the survivor squad found themselves in an unfamiliar room, locked in a huge cage. The girls cried from understanding the situation in which they found themselves and asked to let them all go. Dr. Steve, who was watching them, told his assistant that they should not interrupt their experiment when a wave of zombies was about to overtake them. He also remembered that before her death, Sophia spoke about a plot in the middle of the lake that would be ideal for their base and asked the girl to send someone to investigate, after which he said that it was time to start the experiment, and the grating on one of the walls began to rise. The next moment, crawlers jumped out of there, rushing at their victims. For the first seconds, Paul stood motionless in horror. Some of his comrades had already fallen. Pulling himself together, he threw back the flying monster with one blow into the wall. He fiercely fought off all the mutants attacking him. To the man watching from above, it seemed unfair that the people from China were so much stronger than them. Linda replied that despite their impressive strength, survival requires brains first, which is why they became their test mice. He agreed with her words, asking that she keep careful notes on the experiment. He needed to gather as much information as possible about the zombies before they overtook them. Linda nodded and replied that she would do everything in the best possible way. Meanwhile, Paul and his two surviving comrades were desperately trying to come up with a plan that would help them survive. Suddenly, an axe came flying from above, stabbing into the ground. Paul looked up in confusion, peering at the two figures. Steve said that the weak point of these mutants is in the back of the head. Those who survive will have a luxurious dinner. He looked at him with rage, saying that he would kill them all as soon as he got out of here. He was not allowed to finish the conversation by a creeper rushing towards him. He drew his weapon when the monster's claws came dangerously close. A moment later, the axe gave way and the armed Paul rushed at the enemy. The patrolmen who were guarding the area heard muffled voices from the other end of the corridor. One of them became wary and, taking the weapon more conveniently, asked who it was. Anna came out to them with her hands raised, saying that she was lost. Suddenly, the girl was surrounded by guards, asking where she came from. She asked with a pleading look to let her go. She was ready to do anything for her freedom.